Upstate.
And off we go, ladies and gentlemen, into another wonderful 4-hour expedition into the land of sports. Welcome in my dudes, my dudettes, my amigos, my amiguettes. It's great to have you. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Happiest of Tuesday to you, my people. I hope that you had a wonderful start to the Turkey Day celebration. I hope that you had a wonderful start to your Thanksgiving week. I hope that you are all jacked up about rivalry week this weekend. You know, we're going to spend some time getting into that later on the show today. Looking forward to talking football with you, my people, no matter where you are around the country, around the world. The show is for you. The show is for the Armada, and we want you to be a part of it, don't we? Yes, we do. That is why we have the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone at 844-FANFONE. That's 844 if you prefer the numbers, 326-3663, 844-FANFONE. You can text us on our text line, which is open and will be open for the entirety of the radio program. That one's easy to get to as well. All you need to do is text 71307, 71307. You start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the show. You can also get at us on the X machine, if you prefer that. The X handle is at the Rob Brown Show, because I am a creative branding genius at the Rob Brown Show. If you want to get at us in that direction, we'd love to have you on the text line. On the X post line, thread, thing, whatever you want to call it. We want you there as well. The great Lonzo is out today. He will rejoin us next week on the show. And, of course, as we mentioned, a brief programming note, tomorrow, our last day of the week, will be off on Thursday as we give thanks for all the things. Then we'll be off on Friday because Daddy wants a new TV. All right? Am I a Black Friday shopper? You're damn right I am. Why would I not be? I get cheap TVs. Yeah, I'm going to, I think I've finally talked the wife into upgrading our tiny, pathetic, worthless little 50-inch TV that's in the in the living room. I think I've talked her into bumping it up to like a, I don't know, what do we think, 75-inch in the living room? Maybe I talk her into going to the full 80-inch. We'll find out. We'll see. It's whatever I can get her excited about in the store. But we'll return next Monday. Lonzo will be back. My man Ben sitting in for him this AM, and we appreciate it. The live stream is up for you this AM. The live stream is available for you at facebook.com/thefanupstate. It's available on facebook.com/The Rob Brown Show. It's available for you on YouTube by searching and subscribing to either The Fan Upstate or The Rob Brown Show. And it's available on Twitch. You go to Twitch, you search and subscribe to The Rob Brown Show on Twitch, and you can go behind the scenes and watch all 4 hours of our shenanigans live and in living color. You can interact with Ben and I off the air during the breaks. You can chat with some of our guests that stop by, 2 of them today, as a matter of fact. Coming up this AM at 8 a.m., the lovely Lulu Kesin has been kind enough to shift her weekly spot on Thursdays over to a Tuesday so that we can, talk to her, because I'm going to keep it a buck with you. On Thursday morning at 8 a.m., when Lulu Kesin usually stops by, the odds that I am, out of bed, roughly 0% chance I'm going to be up at 8 a.m. on Thursday. All right. That's a long day for you, boy. You got to get up. You got to enjoy the AM. Yeah, then you got to start cooking. I come from a Cajun family, y'all. I come from a New Orleans family. If you don't think, everything in our life is food. Somebody dies, you're eating good. Sad. We're going to miss him. R.I.P. Uncle, R.I.P. whoever. Sad. We're all bummed out. But we're going to eat good for about 2.5 weeks, all right? Somebody gets married. Oh, Lord. Don't wear pants you like because they ain't coming back with a button on them, all right? Whatever it is we're doing, it's all about food. So when you give us a holiday that ain't nothing but food, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think? Y'all, I'm going to tell you right now, I lost 50 plus pounds to get ready for that wedding back in September. I might put about half of that back on Thursday. So the key is, and this is what a lot of people miss out on. The key is like any good competition, you got to make sure you rest it up. You got to make sure you rest it up. You got to make sure that you've given yourself, your body, a chance to take itself to peak possible performance. That requires sleep. That requires rest. That requires giving yourself the time to get your body right. And that's what I'm going to do on Thursday morning. I'm going to sleep in till about noon. I'm going to get up. I'm going to pitch in with the oyster dressing. All right. I'm going to get up. I'm going to help go outside and get the fryer going for that deep fried turkey, because I am sorry, there is no proper way to serve a turkey aside from deep frying a turkey. So I'm going to help get the fryer running outside. Make sure we got that full propane tank to get that Earl nice and heated. Make sure there's just enough in there to coat the turkey, but not enough that it explodes out of the side and creates a fireball in my grandmother's driveway. And then we're going to drop that bad boy down in there, pull it back up. And there comes a time in every family. There comes a time for the passing of the turkey carving knife. You know, the one your grandmother's had since you were a wee lad? Ben, you got that in your family? You got the electric carving knife that's been in the family for 1,000 years?
Oh, that one?
Yeah. It's white. It's got a white handle with a beige trim on it. It's got a long, wide extension cord, and it's got the alternating dual blades on it.
Did we have you last year? Did we have you over last year?
No.
How'd you know?
I knew you last year. Oh, no, just every American grandmother has that knife.
It's tinted a little yellow.
Oh, yeah, because it's been used a bazillion times. At some point, it's like the kings of medieval Europe, right? Like there comes a point where the heir of the throne walks up the steps and takes the seat on the throne, and like some vague hooded religious figure walks up and slowly sets the crown down on his head and then steps away. It's that, but an electric turkey knife that's been in your family since roughly 1927. All right. And at some point,
the Southern stiletto.
Oh, everybody's got one. And at some point in every man's life, and if this is not true in your life, I need you to grab yourself a mirror and I need you to look deep into it, and I need you to get introspective, because if there's not been a point in your life where that hasn't been passed on to you like an ancient relic of a kingdom from a foregone era, if it hasn't been handed to you and your family hasn't said to you, it's your time. It's your time. Now, this era belongs to you. We love you, we trust you, and we believe that you have it in you to get this done. And they hand you that knife, and then what happens? You walk into the kitchen, the turkey's laid on that serving platter, you take that knife, you plug that knife in, and then you start to cut. You start to carve, and nobody wants to say it. Nobody's going to say it. But everybody's watching. Everybody's got their eyes on you. Everybody is staring at you to make sure you get this right. And let's be real. You might have one shot at this. You got one shot at making this work. So you got to get in there. You can't go too thick. You can't go too thin. You can't carve in the right spots. And you damn sure can't ask for help. Hey, Uncle Mike, can you come over here and show me? You've been doing this for years. It's my turn. Can you come over here and help me? You can't do that. You can't do that. It's embarrassing. You can't ask for help. You just got to dive down in there and figure it out. It's like playing quarterback in the National Football League. Nothing in your life has prepared you for that moment. Nothing in your life has prepared. You could never have known that there was to come a day at some point, somewhere, where a room full of people were going to be staring at you as you wielded an alternating, plugged-in, dual-bladed carving knife. And if you get it wrong, please know you're never going to hear the end of it. For years, your relatives are going to go, we gave you a chance. We gave you a chance to be the guy. We gave you a chance to be the one. We gave you a chance to show what you're made of, and you disappointed this family. You let us down. We gave you the chance to put on the helmet and be QB1. We gave you the chance to be the one that we bragged about, to carve that turkey in a way that was good for everybody. And here's the thing. You're not just thinking about dinner, are you? You got to think not just about that dinner, but you got to think about, all right, am I carving this turkey in a way that it is going to be good for them turkey and everything else sandwiches tomorrow? Because, I don't know about you guys, but the only thing I look forward to more than Thanksgiving dinner is Black Friday lunch the next day with the leftovers. All right? My family strings together something in the neighborhood of 1,000 different casseroles. All right? I got broccoli casserole. I got macaroni casserole. I got oyster dressing over here. And then you got all them crispy, fresh veggies. Because we're farmers market people, baby. We're farmers market people. We're not going down to your local grocer and picking up a bag of frozen veggies. Come on. There are farmers in our community, y'all. There's people around us that they grow this stuff for a living. It's just what they do. And they're here for you. They want to provide you and yours with the freshest the money can buy. So what you do is you head down and you grab some fresh veggies, string beans, collard greens, whatever you want. You cook them up right. You get them good mashed potatoes. I'm a white gravy guy. I love some brown country gravy, but I'm a pepper gravy, untouchable. All right. So what I'm looking forward to is the next day, I'm taking those dinner rolls that can get eaten, putting them in the air fryer, soften them up, toast the outside just ever so slightly, little layer of turkey, little layer of that broccoli casserole, little scoop of the mac and cheese, little bit of the white gravy on top, a whole lot of butter like Paula Deen on a bender. I'm smashing it together, and we're going ham on some post-Thanksgiving turkey sandwiches. But here's the thing. If you screw up the turkey carving on Thursday, everybody's mad at you on Friday, right? It's like losing at the quarterback spot. You go throw a pick on a big drive. It's 3rd and 3. All you need is 3. Coach says, hey, they think we're running. We're going to have you throw the ball. You drop back in the pocket. The game's on the line. You can see the scoreboard. You're down 4. You need a tutty. You uncork, and oh no, you didn't see the single high safety floating back there in coverage. He picks it off. And in the moment, everybody around you in the moment is going to be going, hey, Chief, it's okay. You did the best you could. We got your back. You're still our quarterback. You're our guy. We love you. You're not going anywhere, yada, yada, yada. But see, here's the thing. They're going to wake up. They're going to wake up the next day, and they're going to read about that game in the paper, and they're going to go, son of a bleep. We had it. And John threw a pick because he can't read a basic defense. What the hell are we doing, John? And they're holding it against you for days. So get that turkey carving right, people. Get that turn. If you need to practice, practice. All right. Head down to the store today. Grab yourself a butterball. Take it home. Just study it. It's like a playbook. If I walk into the facility on Saturday and the game's at 1 o'clock on Sunday, if I walk into the facility on Saturday and I see my quarterback sitting there playing Madden, if I see my quarterback sitting there shooting, foosball in the golf simulator the night before a contest, that ain't my guy. That ain't my quarterback, all right? Go get you a butterball, take it home, analyze, study. There's YouTube videos. Watch 100 YouTube videos today. You got to get this right. You got one shot. If they hand you the carving blade and you botch it on your first go, you'll never get that honor, that distinction again. You will forever be the black sheep, the guy banished to the other side of the kitchen. You'll be getting your plate last. No one will ask you if you're ready for seconds. And on top of all that, you got to clean the kitchen. You don't get the old tryptophan nap in the recliner, in the living room, watching Dallas lose to whoever Dallas is losing to this year on Thanksgiving Day. No. You got to go help clean up. You got to rinse dishes. You got to clean cups. You got to stack the dishwasher. You don't get that nap because you blew it. You had your opportunity, your time to shine, and you blew it. I have no idea what came over me right there. I don't know where that came from, but it felt necessary if we're keeping it a buck.
That was cathartic.
Yeah, it felt necessary. It felt like it. Let's be real. It felt like some of y'all needed to know. All right, I'm really here just to make your lives better. And I got to tell you, if you blow it on Thanksgiving Day, if you are given the opportunity to shine and you blow it, no more excuses. It's on you. I've given you the prep. I've given you the strategy. I've given you everything you need to step up, grab that carving knife, and be the hero that your family wants and deserves. If you don't do it, it's on you. All right, we got a lot we need to get to, a lot we need to talk about on the show today. We continue our look up and down the college football landscape. What's the dream scenario for South Carolina? If there is a path for this team to get in with 3 L's, what's that look like? I'm going to give you my thoughts on that coming up later in the show. Coming up later in the show at 8 a.m., the lovely Lulu Kesin from the Greenville News is going to join us on the show. We will talk to Lulu about this matchup. I don't know if y'all know this, but there's a game going down this weekend right up the road in Clemson, South Carolina. The Tigers welcoming the Gamecocks into town. And I'm not going to say it's a playoff eliminator for both teams, but it is for one. And I'll tell you, I think the only thing that would bring more joy to the South Carolina Gamecocks than making their way into the college football playoffs would be keeping Clemson's ass out of them. So this is a big one. It's a big one. And I'm looking forward to it. We're going to talk about that with Lulu Kesin at 8 o'clock, 8:40. The wonderful Rashad Beard is going to join us here on the show to talk a little Carolina Panthers. And y'all, we are going to talk a little Panthers betwixt here and there because there was a lot of booty smooching out of the national media yesterday. A lot of fine folks that have microphones and cameras talking a little bit about the Panthers. We're going to talk about the Gamecocks too. I just said that. But talking a little bit about the Carolina Panthers and had some very nice things to say about Bryce Young. Things that your boy has been telling you for a year, has been taking heat from Lonzo, has been taking heat from the Armada. And yet here I am, finally having my sentiments, my thoughts echoed by folks around the country who know ball. We'll talk some Panthers coming up on the show. Rashad Beard joins at 8:40. And outside of that, who the hell knows what we get into? I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Senioritis is here. We got a couple of days till Thanksgiving. It's whatever you want. Whatever you want to get into, now's your time to shine. Upstate South Carolina. And we jump right in when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
sports talk for real sports fans.
The Fan Upstate
Is the sports voice of you.
Jersey
the
Joe eating all the
Upstate
crispy
fan.
deep fried skin. Oh, dude, you peel that skin out. Jersey Joe, I'm gonna hook you up. I don't know if you're the turkey dude in your family, but I'm about to hook you up and make your life better. Before you fry that turkey, I want you to go out. I want you to get some Cajun seasoning. I want you to get a turkey injector, and I want you to give it just that extra little pow, just that little extra Cajun seasoning injection before you fry it. That oil is going to distribute all that Cajun all the way through. It's going to crisp up that skin a little bit more. Son. Diggs, what up? KWNSC says Alton Brown has a Google Eats video for all that. Trust me, I know. I like it. A good Eats video. Yeah, no, I'm a big Alton Brown guy. Mainly because I'm a gigantic dork, and Alton Brown actually talks about the science of preparing the food, and I think that's wonderful. I'm just a dork, and I love it. Morning, Mike. Welcome in. All right, guys, give me 45 seconds. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Stay right there.
I'm meteorologist Kara Foster.
or that blanket
Thanks
that's
for
got
hanging in there,
wrinkles
y'all.
on its wrinkles. Maybe even your chatty coworker who keeps distracting you? Okay, bounce dryer sheets can't do it all. But for fresher, softer, better laundry,
Sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples has amazing deals on everything you need for the holidays, from custom holiday cards and photo gifts to laptops and gaming systems, even shipping solutions. And now save up to $350 on select computers. In-store only. Offer ends 12/28. Unwrap huge holiday savings at Staples.
No need to check the clock. It's Rob Brown time. Now, weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on the Fan Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob, my man Ben, filling in for the great one Lonzo today. Should you wish to be a part of the radio program, it's very simple to do so. The renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone is 844-FANFONE. That's 844-326-3663. Jump on the air. We'd love to have you. You can also shoot us a text at 71307, 71307. Start that text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we'll read them on the air. My man Keegan popping in said, accidentally woke up early, figured I'd check in. Good to have you back, my guy. Good to have you back. It's been a hot minute since we had Keegan in the stream. You guys can jump on the stream as well. It is very simple to do so. All you have to do is go to facebook.com/thefanupstate or search and subscribe to the Fan Upstate on YouTube. Do the same for the Rob Brown Show. The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, the Rob Brown Show on YouTube, and because we love you, the Rob Brown Show on Twitch as well. If you want to go in that direction. Got a bunch of sound from the post games around the NFL this weekend, but I want to start with this one. And I want to start with this one because Rashad Mayo, the head coach of the New England Patriots, has been taking quite a bit of heat the last couple of days, and he's been taking quite a bit of heat about a comment that he made in the post-game show. He made a comment in the wrap-up of the Patriots game this weekend that has Patriots fans all hot and bothered. Here's what Gerard said. It's a short clip, but I want to talk about it.
Look, it's always, look, once those guys cross the white lines, there's nothing I can do for them. There's nothing any coach can do for them once they cross the white line. It's my job to continue to prepare not only them, but our coaches to go out here and play better football. Thanks.
He said, once the boys cross the white line, there's not much I can do for them. I can coach them up. I can get them ready. But once they're out there, it's time for them to do their thing. And he's getting beat up a lot for that. And I don't particularly think it's all that fair, to be honest with you. I don't have a problem with what he had to say. Now, I do want to be very clear. To say there's nothing he can do, sure there is, right? It's all schemes. It's all making sure that the guys have what they need, right? It is making sure that when you've got a quarterback that's getting extra heat on him, you're scheming around that. How do I make sure that he's able to escape pressure? How do I make sure that I'm bringing extra blockers in back there? How do I make sure that I'm keeping the running back in, or I'm bringing an extra wide receiver down, or whatever the case might be? You absolutely can help out Gerard, and I think it's imperative that you do so. But I think what Rashad Mayo was trying to say here was that when it comes down to it, the situation I got to know is that the boys will go execute. That's it. This is about execution. I used to coach basketball. Not high level by any stretch of the imagination because I am a big dumb idiot. But I coached youth basketball for a very long time. I need to get back into it. But I used to tell the fellas when we would practice, I'm going to give you everything I got while we're out here practicing. I'm going to give you everything I got. I'm going to teach you everything I know about the sport. I'm going to set you up with 1,000 different plays and strategies. I'm going to teach you how to box out. I'm going to teach you how to rebound. I'm going to teach you how to do everything I can teach you how to do. I'm going to give you everything. And with that, I'm going to prepare you for the game. But when the ball is tipped, I can call the plays. I can run push, which was my favorite. I had a kid that was an 8th grader that I got onto the JV team when it got to 9th grade. 9th graders had their own team. Then there was JV, and then there was varsity. I got a 9th grader onto the JV team because he had a 3-point shot, and I used to run push for him all the time. It was a 3-screen wraparound play. Point guard comes up. I start the shooter out on one wing. I bring him around. There's a block set on the close block. There's a second block set on the back block. And then I ran a double block at that spot. So he would come off that block, cut up, and there was another block waiting for him. So one of two things happened. Either, number one, I created the mismatch I wanted to create, or number two, if there was a guy that was going to hang on and try to fight through they had to fight through 3 blocks to get there. And then it was a swing pass and a 3-point shot. Love that play. I can teach you that all day long. I can teach you exactly how that play is going to run, where it needs to go, what you need to look for that third guy to determine if he needed to spring a block or not, set a screen on the outside, whatever. But once I put the boys out there and I call that play, It's on them to execute. It's on them to figure it out. It's on them to take everything that I taught them and to look at it and figure out, okay, coach said if X, then Y. Did we get X? Yes, no. Why? What happened? How do we fix it? How do we respond to that? What's the situation? How do we react to it? And if they go out there after I've spent practice after practice getting them all set up to run that play to maximum efficiency, and all that goes away, Gerard Mayo's got a point. What do you want me to do in that spot, right? There's nothing more I can do. I can bench him. I can bring him to the side. I can put him on this side of that bold line and say, all right, somebody hand me my white erase board, and I can draw up the play again. But again, they got to know it. They got to know it before we get there on game day. If they don't know it before we get there on game day, I have failed as a coach. I have failed as a coach. And if I have failed as a coach, then none of this conversation matters. But I promise you, I'm not failing as a coach. And I promise you that NFL coaches are not failing in terms of lack of preparation. Now, there is an element to it, and I think this is something that Chicago Bears fans are going through right now. I think this is something that the New York Jets fans are going through right now. I think this is something that a handful of fans are going through right now. At the end of the day, if the team doesn't respect the coach, if the team isn't open to the coach's leadership, if the team isn't listening to the coach, well, now you got a problem. Because now you might have all the prep work in the world ready to go. But if the team isn't engaged with the coach, none of it's going to matter. But if I've got a team that likes me, that respects me, that listens to me, that learns from me, then when they cross the stripe, and they get onto the green, or they get onto the hardwood, or whatever, they get in the pool, they get on the diamond, whatever. If I've given them everything I know, and I've given them how to anticipate, how to react, whatever, and they go out there and they can't get it done because they just don't understand, there's really not much I can do, right? Like, I don't think Gerard Mayo should be getting dragged right now. And I don't think he should be getting dragged right now because that team is the definition of a hard reboot, right? You think you guys got it bad with the Carolina Panthers. I am not going to take away from that. So do the New England Patriots. They are, I think, worse off than the Panthers are right now. See, because the Panthers, they went out, and while they've had a couple of really bad years of bad coaching, they brought in a guy who immediately took over, was doing the roster building, yada, 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 and the trajectory is up. The New England Patriots have 20-plus years of doing it one way that they have to break. We talk about culture a lot. And culture is one of those intangibles. You listen to the show for any length of time, you know I don't love intangibles. I don't like talking about intangibles. I think intangibles they're hard to talk about. They're hard to talk about. They're hard to discuss. They are hard to quantify. And I prefer talking about things that I can quantify. I prefer talking about numbers. I prefer talking about things that I can say X is Y, Y is Z, and here's why this is that. It's hard to do, but I think culture matters. And if I'm working with a team that either has no culture or is having to fight to overcome years and years and years of a culture and get to a different direction, it's hard to do. It's hard to do. And I think that's the spot you find yourself in with the Patriots right now. So when Gerard Mayo is saying, once they're out there, there's only so much to do, I can't help him. I think he's got a point. I really do. Let me get Kevin in here real quick before we run to the break. Kev, what's up, big fella? How we doing?
What's up, my man?
How are you, brother?
I'm all right, man.
Glad to hear
it. You just said a whole mouthful, man. Like everything I was thinking about saying, you just said, because we can go through practice all week long, and I can watch film. I can give you everything that these boys are going to do, especially if I'm that coach that digs into the film, finding mismatches, finding this, finding that. Hey, this defensive tackle, he lazy on most plays. This what we're going to run at him. I can give you all this all week long, but then Saturday or Sunday that we get out there, now you snap the ball, you snap it over the quarterback's head, the quarterback fumble the ball, the running back fumble the ball. We don't block this way on a certain play. Now they look like a Kenny coach. No, I gave them everything that I tried to give them, but when that clock starts, you step inside the white line. That's your responsibility to execute everything that we worked on all week long.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have been on the social media watching Jerod Mayo get dunked on for this, and it is infuriating. And, I like to draw things, Kev. I like to try to draw direct analogies from real life. And I know that not everybody will have this experience, but I can't tell you how many young dudes in this industry that I have mentored over the years. And I sit here and I teach them about how I show prep and how I watch games and take notes and how I evaluate film and how I structure segments and how I do teases and intros and outros and build sound and yada, yada, yada. And I teach them all that. And then they come in here to sit in and they do a show and they push the mic on button and then they just freeze up. They're not ready for that moment. I can't do anything now. Like, now it's your time to do a thing. I've given you everything I can give you. I have prepared you for the moment, but either you respond in it or you don't. And I can sit here, Kev, when that person freezes up and I can go, hey, take your time, take a breath, think about this, read that, look at your prep. Yeah, trust your prep, whatever. I can do all that. But at the end of the day, man, if we're in that spot and I've prepped you and gotten you ready and told you everything I know and told you how to execute, and you go out there and you step on your own junk and fall flat on your face, I can't jump all over the coach for that, bud. And that to me, unless he just is not doing the job preparing the team for what they needed to have ready for that game, then, which I don't have any reason to yet believe that's the case because New England's been involved in a couple of damn football games. I can't beat up on them for it.
No, basketball, you can kind of, you can hear the coach, but at the same time, football, once that clock starts and them fans get to yelling and we calling out plays, hey, man, you just got to run and execute now. Yeah,
I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. Play calling and design, that's still on the coach. If I'm out there and I got Lamar Jackson at my quarterback spot and I'm calling, 9 design runs for him, and for the 4th time in a row, Khalil Mack comes off the edge and smokes him, then yeah, it's on me to recognize that ain't working and to adapt my play calling to give Lamar a better chance to succeed. But if that keeps happening because the running back keeps missing his block and setting the edge, yeah, I mean, I can try to fix it, but at the end of the day, that's the running back screwing the pooch here. The point here is, I don't think Jerod Mayo was truly saying, Kev, there's nothing I can do. I think what Jerod Mayo was saying is, if I prep the boys and they don't go out there and execute, there's not much I can do about it.
And then you still find a good coach that's like, you know what, I didn't have them prepared enough, but I'll tell you what, next week, we will be prepared. We will be prepared from here on out. From that great coach that's really trying to achieve greatness. And if the team buys in and the team is trying to follow the same path that the coach is putting out there, we're going to be where we need to be at the end of the day.
That's it. Kev, good to talk to you, my guy. Appreciate you checking in, big fella. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
My man, Kev, joining us here on the show. The Rob Brown Show is on the Fan Upstate. We're going to run to a break. We'll come back here in just a minute from right now. Does Indiana deserve a playoff spot? They're going to finish the season 11-1. They're going to finish the season 11-1 with no quality wins. I think they're going to have a lot of wins where they decimate lesser opponents, but not really a quality win. And a beatdown at the hands of Ohio State. Indiana did something in that game against Ohio State that, while I do think that they are in and they should be, a team that I have been a huge fan of, did something that I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I want to talk about it with you guys and see if you are angry at Curt Cignetti or if you can justify him playing within the system and the way it's built. I'll tell you what I mean when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Opinions, analysis, and entertainment all rolled into one sports talk show. This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
I'm Chuck Sanders. Here's the Sports Flash presented by Progressive. NBA last night, the
Ooh, they
Magic
were
beat the Hornets
down to the
95
wire
to
with getting
84.
that
LaMelo
flash
Ball
up.
had 44 points in the loss.
All right, guys, I got to step away for a minute. My laptop is on the
fritz.
fritz. So I got to go handle this. I will come right back. Don't go
Sunday,
anywhere.
the 3-8 Panthers are home against the 5-6 Buccaneers. Tampa's 3-2 on the road. Carolina 2-4 at home.
Does it give you a
The
little
Panthers have a
badge
two-game winning
number,
streak snapped
like
with
a little
30-27
notification?
They're getting hammered by the Buckeyes. They're down 31-15, and Indiana gets the ball back. Now, in a normal spot, you'd be throwing the ball around the yard trying to fight back into this thing, right? I mean, you're down 31-15. You're down 16 points. That's a two-score game. There's a lot of time left in the second half. You're in a two-score game. Touchdown, and I know it's a two-score game with a couple of two-point conversions, but I'm treating it as if it is a two-score game, yeah? You are not blown out. You are not out of this contest. You are not in a bad spot to try to make something happen. Indiana gets the ball back. Indiana has the chance to drive the field. Indiana has the chance to score a tutty, get the 2-point conversion, make it a 1-score game, and have a lot of time left on the clock. Now, let's start with this, because I think, as always, nuance is a major part of any discussion in sport. So here's the nuance of the conversation. Indiana ain't a team that likes to throw it around the yard. Indiana's a team that wants to play, as much as they have some dogs on the outside. Indiana's a team that wants to play classic Big Ten football. They want to run the ball. That is their identity. However, their identity this season has been not to be down 2 scores. Not to be down 2 scores in the late third, early portion of the fourth quarter. And so that's a spot where I'd like to think you're tossing the ball around the yard, yeah? You're trying to make stuff happen. You got to go stick one into the end zone for a tutty and try to win this thing. Indiana decides on that drive to run the ball 9 times. They burn minutes and minutes and minutes off the clock as they just army march this thing down the field. Left, right, left, left. I mean, they just take their time. And I think that there was a purpose in that. I think the purpose was, we don't want to end up in a spot where we come out. And again, I understand their identity is to throw the football, is to run the football, not to throw the football. So I'm sure that a large portion of it was, hey, we do what we do, right? Even down, we do what we do. But you're down 2 scores. Plenty of time to make something happen. And they're just running the clock. You'd have thought they were up 31-15 the way they were playing offense. No urgency, no hustle, no sprinting to the line, no hurry up, no calling plays at the line of scrimmage, no huddle. I mean, you'd have thought they were up 31-15. And it occurred to me, I think Indiana wasn't in a position there that they were trying to climb back into this football game. I think Indiana was at a spot where they were just trying to keep the score close. I think Indiana was just in a spot where they were trying to keep themselves from getting the doors blown off them even worse. Because I think this team was probably looking and going, all right, we're going to be a 1-loss team. I think, and I don't want to accuse them of this, but I can't say it's not the case. I think Indiana was looking and going, we're a 1-loss team. We're not winning this game, right? There's no way back into this thing. We're a 1-loss team. And if we're a 1-loss team, we're going to make damn sure that our 1 loss, considering it is to the number 2 team in the country, we're going to make damn sure the score doesn't get out of hand. We're going to make sure that at the end of this year, when it is time for those rich people down in Dallas, Texas, to get into a hotel ballroom and vote on who the 7 at-large bids are, that when they look at us as we are now out of the running, likely, for a Big Ten championship and an opening round bye, we are going to make sure that once they have seeded the 5 highest ranked conference champions, we are going to make sure that we are one of those next 7. And we understand that the resume stinks. Indiana's resume is abysmal. We've talked about it on this show a number of times. Indiana's schedule was bad. Now, again, there's not much that they can do about it other than go out there and beat the hell out of everybody, right? Go out there and put 77 on Western Illinois, 42 on the road at UCLA, 52 on Charlotte, 42 on Maryland, 41 on Northwestern, 56 on Nebraska. Go out there and dunk on everybody. But the schedule's rough. You got one ranked team, Ohio State. It's not entirely their fault. Michigan stinks. There's not much they can do about it. Washington had a fall off. Not much they can do about it. Nebraska's up and coming, but they're not very good. Maryland, Charlotte, UCLA. There's not much they can do about it. They didn't draft the schedule, but they go out there and they do everything they can do. And the one ranked team that they play, number 2, Ohio State beats the brakes off of them. So I think at that point they were just saying, hey, listen, we're going to have one ranked opponent and we're going to lose to that opponent. Let's make the score look like it was close, right? Let's take all the time that we can take off this clock. Let's burn this thing down as much as we can. We'll try to go score. Maybe we make it 31-22. We keep them out of the end zone. Okay. It's a 9-point loss. It's not ideal. You want to win this thing, but it's a 9-point loss, and it doesn't look all that good or all that bad, pardon me. It doesn't look all that bad to the committee. Are we good with that? Are we good with that? Because I will keep it a buck. There's a part of me that, like, that kind of puts a black mark on Indiana to me. There's a part of me that looks at that and goes, man, if you're the type of team that finds yourself in a position where you're battling for your lives, if you're in it, and you guys know that I freaking love Kurt Signetti.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
I love this guy. All right. I loved him before the Ohio State game. Lonzo texted me during the game and he's like, I feel like you have to delete the
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
clip from your soundboard. I'm like, no, I don't. No, I don't. Been a lot of national champions that lost the game along the way. Georgia's done it. Clemson's done it. A lot of national champions that have lost the game. I'm not bumping that soundbite yet. But I got to tell you, if you're going to drop bites like that, yeah, I kind of expect you to do whatever it is that you can do to win the game. And in that spot, running the ball 9 times, running the ball and eating up minutes upon minutes upon minutes of clock time is not how you win that game. It's just not. It's not how you win the game. Going out there and trying to pad that game, trying to make sure that the loss doesn't look as bad as the loss actually was. Trying to take advantage of the fact that, hopefully, the committee isn't going to watch and pay that much attention. Because with all of these 2 and these 3-loss teams out there, you like to think that if you are undefeated like Oregon, or you're a 1-loss team like Indiana and Ohio State, you can just assume you're in. You can just assume you're in. Resume be damned. You can just assume you're in. But if they go out there, play 0 ranked teams, then they play 1 ranked team, and they lose by 50, and you're not an SEC squad, and not just are you not an SEC squad, but in a year in which the Big Ten has not been very good. It's a very top-heavy Big Ten. In a year in which the Big Ten is very top-heavy indeed. To go out there and try to protect your resume by running out the clock so that Ohio State can't score again, which they did, by the way, but can't score again, so it looks like you lost a 9-point game instead of a 35-point blowout because you're afraid that, and justifiably so. A 1-loss Big Ten team could theoretically, I don't know that I would feel much differently about it if it was a Pac-2 school, if it was an ACC school, if it was a Big 12 school. I don't know if it's quite as bad for a Pac-10 school. But if you don't think that there's going to be some 2-loss teams that get jumped by 3-loss SEC programs down the line, or much more likely, some 1-loss teams that get jumped by 2-loss programs, we've already had an undefeated team get jumped by a 1-loss SEC program. If you don't see that as a realistic possibility, I don't know what to tell you. And I think that's what Indiana was trying to avoid. I think that's what Indiana was trying to avoid. And if that was the case, they are playing to the system. They are playing within the system. They are playing within the system that would send them to a playoff berth. I can't be mad at somebody who succeeds by manipulating the system. And for the record, there is no way to change this. It just is what it is. I'm not thrilled about it. I really would have liked to see Indiana go out there and try to bust that ass in the fourth quarter and make something happen. But can we be mad at Kurt Cignetti for trying to do something that is very much well within the rules of the game, of the system, as it's set up? I don't know. Texas said, Rob, I see your point, but if the committee watches the game, won't they see that game wasn't that close? Theoretically. But again, I don't know that they watch every game. I mean, it's a lot of football. How many of y'all watch every top 25 matchup? You know how many hours and 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 hours of football it is every weekend? How many of y'all, sincerely, how many of y'all watch more than like 3 full games on a Saturday? I'm not talking about checking in. I'm not talking about highlights. I'm not talking about SportsCenter Top 10. I'm not talking about a YouTube 7-minute condensed replay. How many of you watch a full game? How many of you watch more than one full game of football? How many of you Gamecock fans watch South Carolina and then watch full games elsewhere? I would say not a ton of you. And if that's the case, that ain't a great look. Texter said, Rob, if he actually did that, then that's bull, and he shouldn't be coaching, in my opinion. Yeah, again, like, Indiana fans aren't going to be that upset about it if this strategery ends up seeing the Hoosiers in the college football playoffs. All right, we can bring this back up later on in the show. I got your water cooler cheat sheet up next. Lulu Kesin at 8 o'clock to talk Gamecocks. Rashad Beard at 8:40. We got your audio blitz coming down the pipe as well. All that coming up after I give you the sports flash. It took the full 4 quarters, but the Baltimore Ravens won their 3rd out of their last 4 with a 30-23 dub over the Chargers last night. Lamar Jackson had just 177 passing yards, but threw for a pair of touchdowns and ran for another. Derrick Henry kept out of the end zone, but did rush for 140 yards and nearly 6 yards per carry. Baltimore is now 8-4 on the year. Ja Morant made his return to the Memphis Grizzlies last night and had an immediate impact, scoring 22, adding 11 assists, and a 123-98 win over the Trailblazers. The 2-time All-Star was taken off the injury list less than an hour before tip and was one of 6 Grizzlies in double figures at the end of the contest. The Carolina Hurricanes picked up win number 15 with a come-from-behind 6-4 victory over the Dallas Stars last night. Carolina trailed 3-1 to start the 3rd period, but scored 5 goals in the final frame to steal the win. Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis, Martin Necas, Andrei Svechnikov, Brent Burns, and Shane Gottisbehere all scored, while the defense allowed just 19 shots on goal. Stay tuned this afternoon, 3 to 7, for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire, with Cole Bryson and Diesel.
Hey, this is Cole Bryson. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Bang, Sports Flash, nailed it. All right, guys, stay right there. Be right back to start the next hour. Don't go anywhere.
Carolian, check this out.
Your unofficial Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Get robbed.
Only on
The Fan Upstate.
As Dak Prescott might say. Here we go. Hour number 2 with the Rob Brown Show starts now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the great Lonzo, out this week on a well-deserved vacation. My man Ben filling in for him over on the other side of the metaphorical glass this AM. Should you wish to be a part of the radio program, multiple ways for you to do it. I want you to hit us up on the Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone, 844-FANFONE. That is 844-326-3663. I want you to text us on the text line at 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. And we will read them on the air. I want you to shoot me a tweet at the Rob Brown Show on X. You can get at everybody up in here at the Fan Upstate. If you want to come at us in that direction, you are welcomed and encouraged to. I would also love for you to jump on board the Ray Memorial. Oh, do me a favor. Oh, wait. There it is. There it is. The Ray Memorial Talk Hotline. Go to the Odyssey app. Okay, go to the Odyssey app, go to the Fan Upstates page, and like that page. And then once you go to the Odyssey app, once you go to the Fan Upstate page, I want you to look in the middle of said page because you're going to see 2 buttons on that page. One of them says Listen Live. I want you to click on that button. And when you do, you can listen to the Fan Upstate 24/7, 365, anywhere that you have a connection and a speaker. And next to that Listen Live button, you're going to see a second button. It doesn't really look like much of a button, but it might be the most important button you'll push this week. I want you to click on that little circle button that has a microphone inside of it. You click on that little circle button that has a microphone inside of it, and it is going to pull up an option for you to record a 60-second voice message. You record that 60-second voice message, you slap your name onto it, you send it through, and it is going to come directly to this laptop sitting right here in front of me. And now ordinarily what I would do is I would say, hey, do me a favor. Send me the outstanding sports talk analysis from the most ball-knowing fan base in local sports talk radio. Send me your analysis, your takes, your deepest thoughts, whatever it is. Not this week. This week, it's rivalry week. This Saturday, in the middle of the day, the South Carolina Gamecocks will take on the Clemson Tigers live from Death Valley Memorial Stadium, Clemson, South Carolina, a pair of top 20 teams getting after it. If Clemson loses this game, they are likely out of an at-large playoff spot. If South Carolina wins this game and does so by a significant margin, perhaps the argument that a 3-loss SEC team should have a chance gets a little bit more valid. This game matters a lot. This is, without a doubt, the most significant game that these two teams have played in a very long time. And by the way, it's not just the playoff spots that are on the line. The playoff spots, that's the easy stuff. That's the easy stuff. That's the obvious stuff. There's more on the line here that maybe isn't quite as obvious. There's more on the line. See, because whether you like it or not, Clemson fans, folks around the country are questioning whether or not you are still one of the title programs in college football. Whether you like it or not, people are questioning outside of Clemson, South Carolina, whether or not you are still worthy of being mentioned in the same breath as the Georgias and the Ohio States of the world. You win this game, it'll go a long way towards ending those discussions. You go out there and you knock off a South Carolina team that is stacked wins against multiple Southeastern Conference teams up and down the line in weeks gone by. And I think a lot of those questions get answered. On the flip side, Clemson, if you lose this game, I think you're going to start hearing a chorus around the great Palmetto State that you don't want to hear. That South Carolina has elevated themselves. That South Carolina is becoming the premier football institution in this great state. I think if you drop this game after what Carolina has done against A&M, after what Carolina has done against Mizzou, after what Carolina has done these last handful of weeks by winning 4 out of their last 5 games against top 25 opponents, after putting an image together that has the Gamecocks being mentioned on every college football broadcast, radio, television, podcast around the country. I think that if you lose this game, the opinion starts to shift a little bit, that maybe it is the Gamecocks who run this state. Maybe it is the South Carolina Gamecocks. See, because it's not just the dubs. It's the fact that, for instance, during that A&M game, I've told you this already, YouTube TV did not run commercials during that game. They just showed Willie B. And I'm going to keep it a buck with you. It looked like a nightclub. It looked like a party. The lights were going off at every break. The music was thumping in the background. There was no,
please turn your attention to the 20-yard line as we say thank you to Rob Robertson, the wonderful CEO of our local bank. Round of applause for Bob Robertson.
I didn't come here so those people could pat each other on the back, so these boosters could have their time in the sun. I came here to watch those 150 young men with helmets and shoulder pads on whoop some ass in the name of my school and/or university. It looked like a nightclub. So they've already got the recruits all hot and bothered. They are stacking wins at this point. I think if you drop this game, the national conversation becomes, the Gamecocks are for real. They went into Clemson's house and took it from them. This game matters a lot in both directions. So I want you to go to the Odyssey app. I want you to go to that little circular microphone button in the middle of the page, and I want you to drop that absolute fire talk. I want you to tell me about why your rival sucks. I want you to tell me about why their head coach is a clown, why their cheerleaders are ugly, why the highest degree that they offer is coloring inside the lines. I want you to tell me why you hate them low down, dirty, good for nothing snitches from the other side of the state. Go to the Odyssey app, click on the microphone button, and drop that talk. And let's have some fun. Let's play them on the air. You drop one today, it's getting played today. You drop one tonight, it's getting played tomorrow. You drop one tomorrow, I'm putting it on my social media. This is your opportunity to let the people hear every single deep, dark thought you have about the bad guys on the other side of the state. And by the way, for all of you that are listening right now that are not Clemson fans, that are not South Carolina fans, this is open to everybody. Bama fans, you want to tell me why Auburn sucks? Now's your time to do it. Auburn fans, you want to tell me why those redneck sister kissers from Tuscaloosa ain't worth nothing? Have at it. Have some fun. That's why we built this thing. That's why I checked this thing. That's why I present this thing to you now. Go to the Odyssey app. Go to the Ray Memorial Talk hotline on the Fan Upstate page on the Odyssey app and drop that 60 seconds of fire about the bad guys. All right? Hey, let's do the water cooler cheat sheet.
for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
"You hear that?"
even before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
Oh, the text line is popping, son. We're going to come to those here in just a minute. The Ray Memorial Bleep Talk hotline is open for you once you're using that as well. We'll get to all of that after we get your water cooler cheat sheet, top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports. Let's dive right in with item number 1. It took a few last-minute heroics, but the Baltimore Ravens knock off the Los Angeles Chargers. The Hard Bowl goes once again to John, 3-0. Against his brother in the NFL. Lamar Jackson just 177 passing yards in this one, but he stuck 2 into the end zone. He also rushed for a tutty as well. It was Derrick Henry who was denied access to pay dirt, but still racked up 140 yards on 24 carries, averaged just a tick shy of 6 yards per carry. Justice Hill scored with 4 carries, 55 yards, including a 51-yard touchdown run that basically solidified this one. Justin Herbert, not a bad night, 21-38, 218, was playing from behind in the 3rd and 4th quarter, meaning he had to throw a lot more than they wanted to. Just 20 rushing efforts for 83 yards for the Chargers. You stack that in comparison to a Ravens team that rushed for 212 yards, and that's a recipe for disaster for the Lightning Bolts of Los Angeles. The Ravens get the dub last night in a little Monday Night Football. Item number 2 on the water cooler cheat sheet, a pair of returns last night. One of them took place for the Boston Celtics as Kristaps Porzingis made his return last night for the Beantown Seas. He had himself a pretty good night overall, 16.6 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 block shots in just 23 minutes of action. The Celtics led by 29 at the half. They would end up running away from the Clippers. 126-94 was your final. Porzingis said, quote, "I felt great. It was a long rehab, and I was itching to get back out there with this team after winning a championship. It was a good beginning, good first game back." It wasn't just Porzingis having his time on the offensive side. On the defensive side of the basketball, he was good as well. Held Ivica Zubac to just 23 points and 10 boards, but he was 2 of 8 from the field. 11 blocks for the Celtics last night, centering that defense around Porzingis. It was a season high in blocks for Boston. Over for Memphis, the Grizz got Ja Morant back last night. He missed 3 weeks with hip and pelvic muscle injuries. 123-98 victory over the Trailblazers last night. The Grizz made Morant available less than 45 minutes before the game tipped off against Portland last night. Ja Morant had himself a pretty good game back, was all over the floor, knocking down threes, elevating for the dunks, 22 points, 11 assists in the contest for Ja Morant last night as he got back into the swing. Oh, thanks for the Grizz. I really hope that kid can keep his head on straight. I really hope that that kid doesn't lose his mind. I really hope that that suspension last year kind of fixed the mentality of Ja Morant, because this dude is face of the league talent. The problem is, I need him to keep his damn head on straight. You can't be the face of the league if your face is at home looking through anger management brochures because you keep screwing up and the league has enough of it. All right. Ja, my dog, my guy, my amigo. Get it together. Get it together. I am begging you to get it together. Please and thank you. And finally, item number 3 on the water cooler cheat sheet. We did not get to it yesterday. We know your college football playoff rankings come out tonight, but your AP Top 25, which is usually pretty indicative of what's coming down the pipe, has the Gamecocks at number 16, the Tigers at number 12. I have a conspiracy theory about why Clemson is ranked so high ahead of South Carolina. Do you want to hear what it is? Of course you do. Here's my conspiracy theory. By putting a 2-loss Atlantic Coast Conference team there, and with the understanding that that 2-loss Atlantic Coast Conference team finds themselves in a contest this weekend with a 3-loss Southeastern Conference team, but a 3-loss Southeastern Conference team that is playing some of the best football in that conference right now. If Clemson loses that game, do you know who stacked up right behind them? The number 13 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide, a 3-loss SEC team. I'm telling you, the biggest what if in college football. South Carolina, what if they would have gone down to Tuscaloosa and got that dub against Alabama? They would have been in that spot. They would have been checked in at 13. Actually, they probably would have been even higher as a 2-loss team. They would have probably been up there around Tennessee and Georgia 5-7, but doesn't matter. Bama's right there at 13. How many playoff spots are there? Everybody say it together. 12. That is absolutely correct. Now, we know that the 12 spot is not a guarantee to get in, because along with it being 12, the 5 highest ranked conference champions all get in as well, which means that as it stands right now, there's a conference champion out there that is ranked below 12. I don't know if it's going to be number 18, Tulane. I don't know if it's going to be number 23, Colorado. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know where they come from, that last team. What I do know is that 12 is not a guarantee. 12 is not a guarantee. But if Clemson loses that game and there's one more loss inside that top 12, whether it is Indiana, SMU, Miami, Tennessee, Georgia, that they can drop out, as I told you they would yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, this is structured, organized, and orchestrated to create a world in which the most watched college football program in America, the Alabama Crimson Tide, can still find their way in with 3 losses. Clemson gets the jump over Alabama so that the committee can say, welp, we didn't just automatically put Alabama in a playoff spot. Clemson had their chance to keep them out, and they failed to do it. That's on everybody else, not us. Not us. Not us. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but it feels to me. I've got my tinfoil cap on today. All right. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, the text line is open, 71307. And boy, howdy, did some of you boys and girls blow it up during the break. I'll read some of the texts that you guys have sent in over the past few minutes of the show. Again, the Odyssey app is open right now with the Ray Memorial Talk hotline. Go there, click the circle microphone button on the Fan Upstate page, and drop that hate about why that other team, you know, that other team over there, why they suck so bad. I want to hear it. I want the text. I want the Ray Memorial Talk hotline popping on the Odyssey app this morning. Let's take a break. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Your one-stop shop for sports betting insight. It's MGM Tonight on the BetQL Network. Tonight at 7, only on the Fan
Upstate.
Can't wait to hear what's next on Wire to Wire with Cole and Diesel.
Tell me what's coming up. The Upset Picks Challenge opens Tuesday at 4 p.m. due to us being off for Thanksgiving.
Cole and I will draft units from both Clemson and South Carolina to make one Palmetto All-Star team.
And one last look with Diesel and I at the rivalry games this weekend. Who can pick them best? All that and more on the next Wire to Wire.
Diesel and Cole Bryson really bring it on Wire to Wire.
I turn it on and leave it on.
Afternoons 3 to 7 on the Fan Upstate.
11. Are they in Vegas?
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Weather Center, here's the Carolina's most trusted forecast on the Fan Upstate. Expecting scattered rain showers today, partly sunny with a high around 68. Few clouds linger into tonight with a low around 40. Then a high of 61 Wednesday with partly sunny skies. Showers and thunderstorms likely Wednesday night with a low of 49. I'm meteorologist Regina Kroll on the Fan Upstate. Right now, it's 59 degrees.
I'm telling you.
Do you have 3 ex-wives
bring
and
your-
your current
bring your
trophy
Red Bull and
wife
just
wants
sleep
a
here.
life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous
Probably
mistakes?
jump on a stream,
If so,
maybe
you need to
chill.
call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's
so I'll
like
have
you,
that, like,
except
scrolling with all
he's
this,
only
like,
on number 2.
crypto and
Call
stock
Term
stuff.
Provider
Like
at
Ed Head
800-700-6898. That's
Yeah,
800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at
Yeah, I used to host a request line.
800-700-6898.
What do you want to watch? You know, whatever. And these kids send in their stuff. That's
800-700-6898.
actually what
He
I
belongs to the people. We'll discuss
so
as we take a
freaking
bite
great,
out of history
actually.
with Eagles Markets.
It's on archive.com.
November 25th, 1963, 3 days after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, he is laid to rest with full military honors at Arlington National Cemetery. First Lady Jackie Kennedy chose Arlington instead of his family plots in Massachusetts because, quote, he belongs to the people. Earlier that year, President Kennedy took an unscheduled tour of Arlington with a close friend. He commented to his friend about the beautiful view of the Potomac and said, "It's so magnificent, I could stay forever." So that's what Jackie chose. She also asked if an eternal flame could be added. 19 heads of states and representatives from 92 other nations joined family, friends, and U.S. officials for the burial. Jackie lit the eternal flame. President Kennedy's gravesite attracted 16 million people in the first 3 years. The volume of traffic was disturbing the hallowed ground, so 3 years after his death, Kennedy was moved a few feet up the hill to a more stable and visitor-friendly plot with a better, more permanent eternal flame. And that's where the president lies to this day. This has been a bite out of history with Eagles
So they're like
Markets.
really
Say
nice,
goodbye.
like
Guess
dark.
what?
And all
Dan's
this
Home Value
green stuff.
Estimator is a game
But I
changer
had
for
these samples.
sellers,
I can't do
giving them
anything with them. They're
information
already
they
cut,
need
so
to make
small.
smart decisions.
So,
Call Dan Hamilton and his
essentially,
team
I made it
today.
to where it's like
501-4616, 501-4616, or online.
essentially your side of a
DanHamiltonRealEstate.com.
Pokemon
This
game.
Thanksgiving,
But
Target makes
I
hosting
put it
easy
like
with
it's
our
like
lowest prices of the
two-sided.
season,
I'll have to
like
take a
Good and
video
Gather
or
Premium
something.
Turkey for
But it's
79
got a
cents a
bearing,
pound
and you
and
can
quality
turn
green
it,
beans
and
for 55
it's
cents.
so
Or
lame.
classic
But it
stovetop
sits on a
stuffing
bearing.
sale
It's
for
this like big, heavy.
$1.99,
It looks like a
and delicious
wood
favorite day apple
thing,
or pumpkin
but
pie
yeah,
for only
you can have like cards on both sides.
Plus,
But it's
get
just like
unlimited same-day
yeah,
delivery
so I
with a
could
free
start
14-day
playing
trial
Pokemon
of
myself.
Target Circle
But it was
360
actually
to
so
make planning
funny. Like
even easier.
came home
Save
and
more
she
on
was just
hosting.
like,
Happier
"What
holidays
is
from Target.
It's hilarious.
Restrictions apply.
Because it
As
looks
a mom,
legit. It's
comforting
like
my
it's all
family is what
it's
I
like
do
nice
best.
wood.
Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max used for adults only.
Come join me, Andrew Filippone.
And me, Patrick Peterson, 3-time NFL All-Pro cornerback on First and Pod for premier NFL coverage and conversations.
Our motto on the podcast is every team, every week, and we don't play favorites.
Last year.
Every episode, you get a glimpse of
Got
the
myself a
entire
wood-burning
National
kit.
Football League.
And I was
First
making-
and
I
Pod.
made a-
Follow and listen to First and Pod on Mondays and Fridays on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Sponsored by eBay. We all got a thing. Yes, even you. If you love fashion, car parts, trading cards, whatever you're into, it's on
fantasy
eBay. So go
tavern,
find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
Rise and shine, sports fans. Grab your coffee and a jolt of sports on the Rob Brown Show.
Puts me in my zone. It gets me ready for the day.
On the Fan Upstate.
Join us on the live stream, facebook.com/The Fan Upstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Wants you to be a part of the action. Each and every morning, we stream all 4 hours of the show live, all 5 days a week when we work 5 days a week. We are not doing that this week as, obviously, Lonzo already out on vacation. We will be off on Thursday for Thanksgiving. We will be off on Friday as well. We will return next week. Then we have 3 consecutive weeks in a row of broadcasting before the holidays. When we get to the Christmas holidays, Lonzo and I will be here on, we'll be up through the 20th. We will be here the 23rd. We are off the 24th through 27th, so we will work a Monday. Then we will come back and work Monday, December 30th. We will be off the 31st and 1st, and then we will work the 2nd and 3rd after New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So there's your programming schedule, so no one is shocked and surprised when we get to that point. Lulu Kesin from the Greenville News joining us here in about a half an hour from right now to give us her thoughts on the Palmetto Bowl this weekend. We had John Blau from the Post and Courier yesterday giving us the Clemson perspective. Lulu will give us the Gamecock perspective coming up here in about half an hour. We also have Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast. He'll be coming by at 8:40 to talk a little Carolina Panther football with us. And I do want to get to the Panthers coming up here in a little while because I've been telling you guys that rep the silver and blue for a hot minute. All you need is just a little patience. I can't whistle, but just pretend that I can. Okay. All right, let's get to some text you guys have sent. The text line is open 71307 Start your text with FAN FAM. We will read them on the radio broadcast. Here are some of the texts that you guys have sent in over the past handful of minutes. Texter said, "Hate week. The Coots. This is Tiger Country. Beamer and his tiny mouth can crawl back to the armpit of the state." Beamer and his tiny mouth. His tiny mouth. I don't think that's a line I've ever heard anybody drop before in a talk session. Also, the armpit of the state. I've been to Columbia a couple times. I don't feel like it's that bad. It's a beautiful campus. I will say the football stadium's in an interesting spot because it's just like in the midst of what feels like an industrial area of the city, right? It's just kind of like it's just planted there, but it's built up very nicely around it. Texas said, "We're not a title team anymore. We're just barely hanging around and will be until Dabo changes his ways or gets sent packing." That is from a Clemson fan. Lefty Tiger sent that text in. Said, "We will not be a national championship contender again until Dabo changes his ways or gets sent packing." Here's my question. Could the Cocks help with that? Could the Cocks accelerate that? If Shane goes out there and they knock off Clemson, I mean, listen, they're not going to fire the dude because he lost to a South Carolina team that's inside the top 25. They're not going to fire the dude because Clemson lost a football game. Okay? They're just not. But the ramifications of the L, and this is why I'm interested in this game. It is not so much because of this game. I mean, this game has obviously massive ramifications. It's not so much this game that I am concerned about. This game kind of is what it is, right? It is a playoff eliminator for Clemson. It could potentially serve, probably not, but could potentially serve as a playoff qualifier for South Carolina. But it is not that I am super concerned about in this moment. What I'm interested in is at a point in time where the national media, fairly or unfairly, I will leave that to you to decide. Fairly or unfairly, the national media is asking the question, is Clemson still relevant? Are they still relevant in the national discussion? Are they still a threat? Or is the dynasty cooked? Is the dynasty dead? And a part of that is not just going to be whether or not they win this football game. The reason this is going to be a question is because of the loss and the ramifications after it, should it happen. Shane Bieber's killing it on the recruiting trail right now. And as I've said to you a bunch of times, as a former college student myself, and a very good one, when it came to the partying, South Carolina has created this, if nothing else, image that right now Willie B's the place to be on Saturday evenings. Willie B's the spot. And if Clemson drops this game, I think that image solidifies a little bit. And if that image solidifies a little bit and all of a sudden, a couple of those 3 and 4 and maybe the occasional 5 stars start changing off the Block C and heading over to the USC, does that accelerate that? I don't know. Cocky for a Reason texted the show, said, preach knower of ball, go Cox. I mean, again, I'm just giving you my outside-in perspective. Texter said, Rob, you married a coot. Of course you're on their side. I'm not on their side, all right? Now, I am a believer in not happy wife, happy life. I'm a believer in happy spouse, happy house. Of course I want my lady to be happy on college football Saturday. Mainly because if my lady's happy on college football Saturday, I'm happy on college football Saturday nights. You get me? Wink, wink. Hope my mom's not listening yet. You get the point, all right? Of course I'm pulling for her. But when I sit on this microphone, as I have from the beginning, I just want good football. I want the teams to be good. I want the games to be good, because if they are, you guys stay around longer. And if you stay around longer, I make more money. And I promise the only thing that I want more than your happiness, dear listener, is a fat wallet. All right? It's fat wallet. That's the only thing I'm looking for. Texture said, Rob Brown, it's the changing of the guard in this great state. Clemson is cooked, and it's just a matter of time before everybody else realizes it. Cox by 90. I'm taking your smat talk and trying to turn it into the bona fide version of the discussion. But in this case, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. I'm not saying it is the changing of the guard in the great state of South Carolina. What I'm saying is the national perspective is that it feels like the changing of the guard in the great state of South Carolina. And that if Clemson drops this game to the Cox this weekend, the guard may very well be changed. It's just one game, but it may very well be changed. Keith and TR says, Rob's spitting this morning. I mean, I spit every morning, but I'm in a vibe this morning. What do you want? Lefty Tiger text the show, said they got to do a light show in the stadium because the product on the field is, and I quote directly, dog doo-doo. Dog is what Lefty Tiger's saying there. Listen, I mean, say it how you want to say it. And I know that South Carolina is not the only program that is doing this. I saw a lot of light and music shows around the landscape of college football these last couple of Saturday nights. But they jumped up in terms of the production value of that. And as somebody who pays attention to production value in games, because, you know, I kind of do that to some degree, it's attention grabbing. And if it grabs the attention of a 39, nearly 40-year-old man who is ordinarily in pajama pants by 8:15 p.m. on a nightly basis, I promise you, it grabs the attention of a 17-year-old kid who's trying to make the decision of where he wants to go play his ball. When the cheerleaders and the dance team are on the sideline spinning circles and the lights come down and the sandstorm goes up, they're paying attention. They're paying attention. Look, I've only been to 3 Clemson games since I moved here. And I'm going to tell you this, and I am not trying to pick a side. I am just giving you my experience. I have been to 3 Clemson games. I have been to 3 South Carolina games, 2 with the lady, 1 as a member of the press. South Carolina puts on a more exciting game day production. I'm not saying the football team's been better. I'm saying South Carolina puts on a better game day environment in my experience, which is limited. I've been to 3. One of them was Clemson at South Carolina, which is the game that they're going to break out the good stuff. Now, with that being said, Clemson beat the absolute dog doo-doo out of them that game. So all that energy and hype and excitement, the air went out of the balloon really rapidly. That's what tends to happen when you get your asses whipped on your own field. The air tends to come out of the balloon. But the production value is there, and there's something to be said about it. Texter said, dang, Rob, I didn't think you could ride that Carolina any harder. We know who you're pulling for. Again, I'm not. This is one of the problems I have with college football fans. One of the problems I have with college football fans, and I think you're doing this, Texter, with all due respect, which is a lot. I appreciate you being here. This isn't a shot nor an attack or anything like that. It's just my point of view. I think one of the things that makes college football so entertaining, but sometimes frustrating to do this job, is that there are a lot of college football fans that believe that if you are not telling me how great my program is, it means you hate us. If you're not saying Clemson by 1,000, what you're really saying is, I love South Carolina. And that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. I don't have a dog in the fight other than my wife. I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't think you understand. Do you understand? For the record, Texter, if we want to keep it a buck, it's better for me if Clemson wins. You understand me? It is better for me if Clemson wins. If I have a dog in this fight, that dog is Clemson. You know why it's better for me if Clemson wins? Because if Clemson wins this game, they're in the playoffs. If South Carolina wins this game, they're not in the playoffs. Not only are they not in the playoffs, but if South Carolina wins this game, they're not in the playoffs, and Clemson's not in the playoffs. I have a chance to have one of the teams that I cover very closely end up in the playoffs this year. Do you know how good it would be for me if the Tigers are in the playoffs? Because if the Tigers are in the playoffs, then the folks downstairs are going to call me and they're going to go, hey, Rob Brown, round number 1, December, whatever night it is, we need you over at Three Friends Bar and Grill, the official lunchtime destination of the Rob Brown Show, doing a remote. We need you out there hyping up the game. We need you out there on remote, giving people a place to come watch. We need you out there on remote, making us look good while the Tigers go try to win another natty. Texter, I don't have a dog in the fight. And if I did, that dog would be Clemson. They'll make me more money. I'm not riding at anybody's thing. I'm simply telling you what I think the stakes of the game are. And the stakes of the game are this. You win, you're in the playoffs. You win, you're in the playoffs. I believe that, which is good for me. You win, you're in the playoffs. You lose, and I think the narrative, and I think you've got to have like the world's biggest blinders on. If you can't see that the national discussion about your football team is whether or not you are still relevant in the upper echelon of college football. That is the discussion happening nationally. And see, while you, and I think fairly so, want to say, who the hell cares what the discussion is nationally, right? Who cares what some writers or some TV talking heads up in New York City or out in Los Angeles, California have to say about us? That's fair. Who cares? The kids you want to come play football. The kids you want to come play football at your school because they're on the TikTok and they're on the Instagram and they're on the Twitter and the X and the Blue Sky and the Facebook and all the other social media. And when they get on there, do you think they are coming across you asking the question, who cares about the local media? Or do you think that they are coming across the national talking head and all that social media leverage they have jumping on and saying, Clemson ain't it anymore? And do you think that has an impact? I'm not picking a side. I'm just telling you what the discussion is, what the narrative is, and that the narrative matters. Beat South Carolina, that narrative goes away a little bit. Texas said if they put 3 ACC teams in and 3 or less SEC teams in this playoff, the committee loses any relevance, claiming strength of schedule matters. I actually don't disagree. The ACC is not that good. Texas said name the best wins you can for Miami, SMU, and Clemson, then make the case for the ACC. You can't. I didn't say that at all. I've been saying all season, I think that there is one ACC team going. I've been saying all season, I think the ACC champion goes and nobody else. It's either Miami or SMU. Now, I will say that got a little bit more interesting with the Southeastern Conference handing out a bunch of third losses this past weekend. I think that got a little interesting because I've been saying all year, I think a 2-loss SEC team will likely get the boost that puts them over a 1-loss ACC team. I do not think a 3-loss SEC team is getting the bump over a 1-loss ACC team. So maybe that's the thing. Texter says there's not enough sweaty Gamecocks to drive Dabo away, and Columbia is the worst place in America. It's a filthy, hot city. I dig it. Texter said when South Carolina and Clemson are both ranked, then South Carolina is 5-1. Make that 6-1 after this weekend. Go Cox. Texter said plot twist, South Carolina blows out Clemson and Auburn beats Alabama, and we're in. Keith and TR. Keith, appreciate that text. I would hang out, though. I wouldn't necessarily take that to the bank just yet. Oh, we got to go to a break, don't we? I forgot we got another break. Let's do that. Let's go to a break. We'll finish up these texts. I completely thought this was the last segment of the hour. Turns out I'm an idiot, ladies and gentlemen. Keith, I'm going to respond to that when we come back because the response is, no, you're not. There's like 3 other games you need help. I'll tell you what the dream scenario is when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Listen on demand.
Oh, man. Oh, man. No, that's my
Phone.
fault.
Text Fan Brown to 71307 or listen on demand at thefanupstate.com. This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
I'm Chuck Sanders. Here's the Sports Flash presented by Progressive. Men's college basketball tonight. It's an 11:30 p.m. tip-off as the Furman Paladins take on Seattle. The matchup at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. The Paladins 6-0 on the season. The Red Hawks are 2-3. Furman women's basketball takes on Campbell this afternoon. Furman 4-2. Last night, Clemson basketball beat San Francisco 70-55. The Tigers men are 5-1 this season. South Carolina men's basketball came up short, losing 75-66 against number 22 Xavier. The Gamecocks are 3-3 on the season. This Thursday, the number 4 South Carolina women's number 15 Iowa State. Clemson women beat UAB 90-52 last night. They'll take on number 23 Alabama today. NFL this Sunday, the Carolina Panthers take on Tampa.
If we get to the point where we're at 41,
Fan Upstate is your home for Paladins football and basketball. Follow all the action live right here in the Fan Upstate. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone.
Get us out. If it's 41 and I'm still going, I'm reading text. I can read text for the rest of the show. If you hear the host reading text and you're at 41, 41 and a half,
very slow back
down
play that bumper slowly
northbound
I-85 at
and just give them the look.
And a problem there in the right lane.
Because at the end of the day,
you will come across still seeing some delays there. And southbound I-85 at Austin Road, stalled out vehicle that was in the right lane.
You can look at me and go, it is my job. And if you don't want me doing that, that's fine, but go tell the PD to come tell me not to worry about it.
Yeah, we got inventory.
I got you. Awesome.
Upstate.
That was fun.
97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live on the free Odyssey app. Now, the Infinity Sports Network.
Jake from State Farm.
Yeah, whatever we got left, I'll make it work.
I finally cleaned my house, so I'm breaking out my
That's
new
fine. I mean, I'm
chocolate
gonna come back. I'm going to address.
Keep winning and create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It's like your own personal paradise.
Ooh, hey, grab me a coconut water.
Bundling, just another way to save with a personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Listen on the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate.
Keith and TR texted the show just a minute ago and said, plot twist, South Carolina blows out Clemson, Alabama loses to Auburn, and South Carolina is in the playoffs. I would respectfully, Keith, slow your roll just a little bit because, again, I have said a number of times, there is a chance that South Carolina gets in. Chance. But, like, there's also a chance that I win the Powerball, right? There's also a chance. And you'll know if I win the Powerball because you'll never hear my ass again. I will disappear off the face of the planet. All right? I'm gone. You'll never hear from me again. It's not that I don't love you. It's just that Tahiti sounds wonderful is all I'm saying. All right? So, here are some of the things that need to play out, Keith, for you to get in. I'm going to see how many doors I can open here. Number 1, Oregon is in. I don't care if they lose their last 2 games. They're in. Number 2, Ohio State. They are likely going to be in because there's no, I don't see a world in which the Buckeyes lose to Michigan. And they have not officially punched a Big Ten title shot yet, mainly because they got to beat Michigan. But Ohio State goes to the Big Ten title game and they lose to Oregon for a second time. That's where it might get interesting. A 3-loss team, but one of those 3 is in a conference championship game. I don't know how that plays out. Texas. South Carolina, you got to be hoping that A, you whoop Texas. And number 2, that A&M beats Texas this weekend in the rivalry game. And Texas gets waxed in the SEC championship game because I do not think that the conference championship game loser is going to be punished with the same viciousness as somebody who loses the last week of the regular season. I think there will be a punishment, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as it has been in years gone by. I think there's probably a little bit more forgiveness for participating in and losing unless you get that ass whooped. So you got to hope Texas A&M ends up beating Texas and Texas as a 2-loss team if they are in the SEC championship game, get hammered. Penn State probably in are the Nittany Lions. Penn State's got Maryland this weekend. They're going to be 11-1. I don't see them losing to Maryland, even though they got into a fist fight this weekend. Indiana is 10-1. What happens with Indiana? What happens? If they beat Purdue by 50 this weekend, and I think they will, one of my favorite bets for the weekend is Indiana to cover. I think Indiana's going to beat Purdue by 100. I don't think this game is going to be anywhere close to a game. They are 29.5 point favorites, and I may take the cover because I think Kurt Cignetti runs it up. Doesn't matter what happens to them. I think Notre Dame is probably in over South Carolina as a 2-loss team. Alabama is a 3-loss team after their L this weekend. Hammered this past weekend. You need Auburn to beat Alabama because I'm telling you right now, you lost to Alabama. Even if it's close, Alabama has the heads-up victory. That's going to get them in. So you need them to get hammered by Auburn. I think you need either Miami or SMU to lose in the regular season and then beat the other one in the ACC title game. Because I think if both of those teams end in an ACC title game, I think the winner is in. And I think it's possible a 2-loss ACC team sneaks in at 12. I think you need one to lose in the regular season to become a 10-2 team, and I think you need them to beat the horse snot out of the other team in the ACC title game. I think that might open up some room. You need, I think Ole Miss probably lost enough, and if South Carolina beats Clemson this weekend, I think that victory over a now AP top 12 team, I think that victory would jump you over Ole Miss. Now, it wouldn't hurt you if Ole Miss loses the Egg Bowl. but I think it's enough to jump them. You need Boise State to lose. You need, again, you got SMU ahead of you. You need probably, BYU's taking back-to-back losses now. I think a 3-loss SEC. And again, I think a 3-loss SEC team isn't going to have to do a whole hell of a lot to get over a 2-loss team out of the Mountain West, out of the Big 12, out of the Pac-2, out of the ACC. I think a 2-loss team, a regular season 2-loss team for any other conference will get jumped by a 3-loss SEC team, especially if that 3-loss SEC team had, 4 out of their last 5 against top 25 teams? 4 out of their last 5 against top 25 teams and won them all. I think they'll jump that. So I don't know how that plays out. Here's what I do know, Gamecock fans. If I was you, I would not get fixated on being a playoff team. If I was you, I would not go into this game with the approach of we are playing for our playoff lives. And I would hope that Shane and the gang aren't taking that mentality into this. That's not what you're playing for. If it happens, it happens, right? Great. If it happens, it happens. Spectacular. You're the hottest team going into the playoffs if you beat Clemson. What I would approach this game is, this is an opportunity at a spot where the national media has turned on Clemson, at a spot where I've got Clemson fans texting the show saying, we won't win another natty until Dabo changes his ways, or, and I quote, we send his ass packing, at a point in time where the good vibes in Clemson, South Carolina are being questioned right now. This is your opportunity to flip the state, or at least make people feel like you are in the process of doing it. That's what you're playing for. Let Clemson play for their playoff lives. And Clemson fans, you are playing for your playoff lives this weekend. I think with a win over South Carolina, you're in. You are playing for your lives. Gamecocks, don't approach it that way, because you're not. You're not. You have a Powerball chance. You're going to need like 7 games to go your way. Powerball chance to get in. Play to prove to recruits around the state that your school's the football school now. That's what you're playing for. All right, when we come back, Lulu Kesin from the Greenville News going to chat with us about this Gamecock v. Tigers contest on Saturday. Rashad Beard at 8:40 talks Carolina Panthers. All of that coming up after this sports flash here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. The Clemson men's basketball team knocked off the San Francisco Dons last night, 70-55 in the Sunshine Slam tournament down in Florida. Tigers led by Ann Schieffelin's 18, and as a team shot 48% from the floor, over 41% from range. Clemson also tallied 40 rebounds while allowing the Dons just 23. Lamont Paris Gamecocks fell to number 22 Xavier last night, 75-66. South Carolina had only 3 players in double-digit points and only 15 points off the bench. They were out-rebounded by Xavier 41-31 while shooting 42% from the floor and just 4 of 17 from behind the arc. The Carolina Hurricanes picked up win number 15 with a come-from-behind 6-4 victory over the Dallas Stars last night. Carolina trailed 3-1 to start the third period, but scored 5 in the final frame to steal the win. Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis, Martin Necas, Andrei Svechnikov, Brent Burns, and Shane Gottesbehere all scored, while the defense allowed just 19 shots to Dallas. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire, with Cole Bryson and Diesel right here on the Fan Upstate.
Up to the minute, upstate traffic, still a big mess. South
All right, guys, stay right there. Let me take a quick break. We'll be right back. And off we go into hour number 3 of the whatever today is, Tuesday edition of the. I'll get my life together at some point. Today's not that day, but at some point, I believe I may figure out how to be a functioning adult. We'll find out. But as long as I get to keep showing up to work in joggers and T-shirts and backward hats and talk about football and trick people into giving me money for it, why? Why would I ever do such a thing? All right. Now, to someone who is responsible, to someone who is good at her job, who is a functioning adult, and yet also has tricked people into giving us money to talk about football, the lovely Lulu Kesin covers the South Carolina Gamecocks for the Greenville News over in Columbia, South Carolina. Ordinarily joins us on Thursday mornings at 8 o'clock to talk Gamecock football, basketball, baseball, whatever we're going to get into. But Lulu has been kind enough, as this Thursday is Thanksgiving, to shift over and talk a little Tuesday football with us. She is on the phone here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Good morning, young lady. How do you do?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you. Because Lulu, I got to work one more day this week, and then I'm off for 4 days. Like, how could I not be great?
I mean, it's a holiday week. There's not a lot to complain about.
There's nothing to complain about. Lulu, I have, you got to do, every show in America is going to do the Thanksgiving Day, what's your favorite side? And that's fine. That's a fine question. It's a good one to talk about. That's not the question I want to ask you, Lulu Kesin. The question I have for you is, what's the best Thanksgiving dessert? Everybody talks about the collard greens or their grandma's casserole or whatever. That's all well and good, but we all look forward. Life is better when you eat the dessert first. What's the go-to Thanksgiving dessert?
I'm a really big maple person. So last year I made a maple cream pie. That was really good. So any maple flavored dessert, I tend to go towards. I like an apple pie. Obviously has to have vanilla ice cream with it, but I'm not too picky in terms of anything maple related. I'll likely eat.
Lulu Kesin, pardon me. Did you just say maple cream pie?
I did.
I've never heard those words together in that order. And my only question is, what's your Venmo address to get you to send me one of those? Because good God, that sounds delightful.
It is. I'll just drop one. I'll toss one at your door on my way up to Clemson on Saturday morning.
Bet. I will meet you on the side of I-85 for the handoff, okay? That sounds
perfect.
Incredible. Lulu Kesin joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. All right, homie, let's get into that discussion a little bit. And in order to set that up, I think we need to spend just a brief minute or two with last week's game. A win over Wofford took maybe a little bit later into the game to really get going than Shane Beamer would have liked. I also know, without having gotten all the way through his post-game presser, I can't imagine that the penalty yardage wasn't driving him absolutely bananas in that game. What were the takeaways from Shane from this contest, a tune-up match for Clemson?
Yeah, he said the first half was awful. He was like, there's no other really way to say it. I understand his frustration. I mean, it sort of felt like the team had a little bit of their old self sprinkled in, especially with their penalties. So I think that overall, sorry.
You're fine.
Losing itself. I think that Shane liked the way they pulled themselves together, but I think overall, their first half was just a little too awful to completely move on from. But he did give credit to the way that they were able to kind of revamp, regroup, which does say something, but obviously he knows against a team of equal caliber, it's not going to be able to be the case. If you come out flat in the first half and draw 5 penalties for 60 yards, you can't always win by 40. Depending on who you're playing.
Lulu Kesin talking football with us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Usually, the common thought, Lulu Kesin, is a game like that against Wofford. It's a tune-up game. It's an opportunity for you to go out there to test out some of the stuff you might want to break into the playbook the next week. for a huge contest like South Carolina's is against Clemson. Did you get the vibe that this was outside of the norm, or was this kind of attacked like any other week? Do you think that maybe there was a little bit of the boys looking ahead a week, and that's why Wofford was able to kind of make it interesting early?
I think the attack in practice this past week was the same. I didn't sense any difference in the way that, any coaches, well, I guess the coaches wouldn't really, but especially the players did not necessarily give any indication that they were taking this game any other way than they would an SEC game. I'm maybe the senior night stuff kind of trickled in. Obviously, Shane talked about how it's really hard to be super emotional, and so much of South Carolina football at home games is the pregame routines. There's a lot that happens right before kickoff, and so I would be more confident saying that maybe some of those kind of joyful traditions, emotional feelings about it being the last, that those might have trickled in a little bit more to the first half, whereas Wofford, who it was their last game of the season, was like, okay, we don't care about any of this. We just want to play. So, maybe I'm giving them too much credit and not acknowledging that they kind of at the beginning took Wofford a little bit lately, but at the same time, I got more of the vibe that it was just, a hard transition from the senior night celebrations, and that's maybe the cause for a little bit of a slow start.
All right, let's turn our attention towards what might be, nope, scratch that, what definitely is the most important game of Shane Beamer's tenure in Columbia, South Carolina. It is the most important this rivalry has felt, at least in as long as I can remember it, Lulu Kesin. I've already said I think this is a playoff eliminator for Clemson, and while I do not think that there is room for a 3-win team in the playoffs, and if it is, there's 2 teams out there in Mississippi and Alabama that have heads-up wins over South Carolina, which will make it a long shot that they fight their way in. But there's a lot of people that believe this might be a playoff eliminator for South Carolina as well. What's the attitude around the team right now? I hate to ask this question because it's asking to quantify something that might be difficult to put a finger on, but what are the vibes, dude?
Vibes is my favorite word in the world. So
I'm a big vibes guy, Lulu Kesin.
It's like my filler word. But it's also just my go-to. I will say, obviously, I talked to players around noon today, so I haven't got the chance to really ask them Clemson-specific questions, because basically anytime you ask a player about something other than the game ahead, they just say, oh, I'm just focusing on the game. So it's been a little tricky there until now. However, I think that overall, South Carolina players, and especially the coaching staff, I've very rarely heard the word playoff at all mentioned, whether that is the opportunity to keep Clemson out of the playoffs, whether that is the very slim chance South Carolina makes the playoffs. So I think South Carolina, I think they understand that, at least on their end, nothing is possible if they don't beat Clemson. And I don't think in their eyes it's a priority to win this game to knock Clemson out of the playoffs. I think it's a priority to win this game, period, not in any way of doing what Shane Beamer did in 2022, which was keep Tennessee and Clemson out of the playoffs this year. I don't think anyone's thinking about that. I think right now, South Carolina is truly just feeling the weight of how big this win is on their end.
Lulu Kesin joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. One more abstract question, Lulu Kesin, and then we'll dive into the X's and O's. I have said that there is more on the line for both Clemson and South Carolina than just the score, than even a playoff berth, though that is obviously the primary objective of every team entering the season. What I think is on the line here is really, going back to the word vibes around the state, the national discussion right now is that perhaps Clemson's star is fading, that perhaps they are falling out of relevance in terms of the national scale. On the flip side, I heard Pat McAfee talking about South Carolina yesterday. I heard Danny Cannell talking about them in a positive light, which is incredibly rare. I have heard every show doing a college football segment talking about South Carolina the last couple of weeks. To me, this is an opportunity for South Carolina to go out there and solidify the message that they are taking over as the premier football program in this state. On the flip side, there's nothing more dangerous than a wounded and cornered animal. Clemson knows this. They understand that if they drop this game, especially while Carolina's getting all this love from around the rest of the country, then that narrative is solidified on their end as well. This to me feels like they are playing for more than just a win on a rivalry Saturday, Lulu Kesin. It kind of feels like they are playing for the narrative of who's in control of the Palmetto State right now. Am I being dramatic?
No, I don't think you're being dramatic, and I honestly think that just the state of college football as a whole plays a huge part. And not to get too much into the bigger picture here, but like obviously, you know, I'm not saying Clemson's leaving the ACC, but in general, with all the sports conference realignments, like you hear jokes in press rooms like, oh, when Clemson joins the SEC, there's things like that. You hear, obviously, a huge thing South Carolina fans constantly point out is Clemson's strength of schedule compared to an SEC schedule. There's a lot of factors that are very relevant right now, especially. And I think because South Carolina is arguably has the more talented roster for the first time, at least in the last 4 years, I would say confidently, that's all just kind of heightened. So I don't think you're being dramatic. I do think that this is a statement game for South Carolina. I think that there's a lot on the line for Clemson. And I think that because this rivalry, which spans obviously forever and across the state, but across many sports, like it comes to its highest point in whatever stadium is playing the football game. It's ultimately all about football. So I'm very much looking at it in the sense of both teams have a lot to prove, but they have a lot to prove in different ways, which is what kind of makes this game so great.
Lulu Kesin from the Greenville News covers the Gamecock Athletic Department. Kind enough to join us here on a Tuesday morning since we'll be off Thursday for Thanksgiving. All right, X's and O's, your thoughts on the actual game itself here, Lulu Kesin. I have an offensive belief, which is if I'm coordinating, if I am orchestrating an offense, there are two things I try to do. The first thing is play my strengths to their weaknesses. And the second thing is I want to get the ball where we got more dudes than they got dudes on any given snap of the football. Well, Clemson last week ran the ball a lot. They had 10 different guys touch the ball. Almost felt like it was an audition. And a lot of those runs, if not most of those runs, were gut runs, were AB gap runs, off center, off guard. To me, it kind of feels like Clemson's going to do whatever they can do to remove a pair of very good defensive ends from the equation for South Carolina, which puts the pressure on the interior defensive line, it puts the pressure on the linebackers, and it puts the pressure on the defensive backs to maintain coverage maybe a little bit longer than they've been used to the past couple of weeks. Defensively, what do you see the challenge being for the South Carolina Gamecocks this weekend?
Well, one aspect I think that kind of matters is Clemson's injuries. I know they have at least two starting O-lines that are like day-to-day right now. And the two games, not counting last week where their opponent wasn't necessarily as equal as Pitt and Virginia Tech, like Clemson's QB was sacked 9 times. Getting sacked was never really an issue for him in the beginning of the season. And then obviously just that stat alone shows how important the O-line, those starting two O-line players are. So I think if South Carolina, doesn't or sees that those two players are out, that might be a potential pocket that they can, or no pun intended, but an area of the game that they can kind of exploit, especially with Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart. However, they're not going to scheme for two players being injured. They're going to scheme in general. So to actually answer your question, I think that on defense, similar to Missouri, where Shane said, I can't sit there and say the wide receivers are going to have 0 catches. It's about tackling after the catch. The same kind of goes with the run game. I think South Carolina's, especially Debo and Demetrius Knight, missed tackles have kind of been a consistent issue. I talked about it last week. So I think defensively, South Clemson's going to be efficient. There's no denying that. They've been efficient on offense all year. So on defense, South Carolina really needs to make sure that, okay, they make a catch, tackle them, and especially not allow, because I'm pretty sure they have just one main running back who has like 1,000 rushing yards, and then the next person has like 200. Like, it's clearly kind of one main guy running the ball, and that obviously opens up their offense a lot. And but at the same time, they're a team that can also throw the ball. So whatever they try to do, they're going to do it efficiently. So I think South Carolina just needs to be efficient after the catch, regardless of where that is on the field, because that's been their biggest issue as of late.
On the flip side of the football, we have obviously seen the growth and development of Lenora Sellers, of Rocket Sanders. The two of them have become a pretty impressive dynamic. And the more that the two of them have kind of found their stride, you have started to see the rise of some of the exterior wide receivers becoming more and more prevalent and prominent in South Carolina's offense. Is there anything that you've seen that you think South Carolina matches up well or can create some advantages against a Clemson defense that has given up spots in some points and maybe force Clemson's offense to have to play from behind and get away from the run game a little bit?
Yeah, well, I think that South Carolina, it's tricky. South Carolina similarly kind of has one main running back. However, behind Rocket, it's Lenoris. I think South Carolina just probably has a little bit more versatility in terms of what their quarterback can do. And so I would say that my impression in talking to a fellow, my coworker who covers Clemson, like, I would say Clemson's run defense is kind of their weak point right now. So, I mean, it's kind of cheesy and simple, but like Rocket has to have a big game on offense, I think, to put up some points, because Clemson's defense is, I just think, a lot better in the passing game. I mean, they've given up some big plays here and there, but more consistently, it seems like the run defense is where they have the most trouble. And also they love to create turnovers. They have like 13 interceptions, 7 fumble recoveries. So Lenoris has to be incredibly intelligent with the ball and very protective of it, because with an offense like Clemson has, you give them one turnover and they can change the entire state of the game. And it's, he's kind of fallen into old habits with 2 interceptions the last 2 games. Missouri obviously was a much different game than Wofford, but it's not going to be like Wofford where you throw an interception and then you get to hold them to a field goal. So Lenoris in general has to be smart with the football, but I also think that Rocket has to step up and have a good game, because that will take advantage of an opportunity that South Carolina maybe has the edge, is that they have a little bit better of a run defense than Clemson will have.
That is going to be interesting, because obviously the conversation has been about Stewart and Kennard. It's been about the guys on the outside, but I genuinely think on both sides of the football, Lulu, Kesin, Clemson and South Carolina, I think the linebackers and interior defensive linemen are where this game gets won and lost. I think this game is going to be won and lost between the guards. It's going to be the A gaps and maybe the B gaps for Phil Maffa on one side, for Rocket Sanders on the other. And honestly, I think this game gets won and lost by the offensive lines on both sides, the defensive lines on both sides.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, too, because South Carolina's offensive line, has improved so greatly, knock on wood for them, in the last few games or so. So that's even more of a kind of a statement point to what we were talking about before, the mental side of it. It's like, okay, it's coming down to this. Every statement, every good game that you've had, every point you're improving in, it kind of doesn't matter anymore unless you continue that same positive play on Saturday.
Ken, Lulu, Kesin, 1 or 2 more, and then we will let you get back to your real job, because I know it's going to be a busy week for you, even with Thanksgiving coming up. Can South Carolina make their way in the playoffs? What's your opinion on this? Because I've said a couple of times, I don't know if there is room for a 3-loss team. And if there is, there's 2 of them ahead of South Carolina. You would likely need Ole Miss to lose again. You would likely need Alabama to lose again. Neither one of those teams are going to the SEC title game, meaning all of it is pinned on Mississippi State and Auburn, a pair of double-digit underdogs to get the job done. But None of it matters if South Carolina can't knock off Clemson. So is there a possibility, Lulu Kesin, that when we speak next week, we are saying we'll find out what the committee has to say? Or do you think that South Carolina fans should be just dialed in on winning an important rivalry game?
I think South Carolina fans should just be dialed in. I'm not going to ever tell a fan how to feel, but I do think that South Carolina fans need to kind of just appreciate the greatness they're seeing regardless of the college football playoffs. I fully understand that you always want to go to the next level. You want to extend your season even further, the furthest, make the playoffs, whatever. But South Carolina, if they win on Saturday, they're going to be the 8th team in program history to win 9 or more games. That's not a lot in program history of every team, of every coach. So South Carolina fans and with the bowl game, they can potentially finish with 10 wins. So I think there's a lot to be appreciated right now, and not to say that they're going to, be worse next year, but this is the last year and potentially last 2 games with just staples of the South Carolina team. Like, appreciate it, think about the current and think about the present, but I'm not going to be the person that says, no, they have no chance of making the playoffs. But like you said, Alabama beat South Carolina, Ole Miss beat South Carolina. All 3 of them got 3 losses. I think the path is incredibly slim, but I'll never say never.
Lulu Kesin covers the South Carolina Gamecock athletic department for the Greenville News. Ordinarily joins us on Thursdays at 8 o'clock, but as I will be very asleep and preparing myself mentally for a Thanksgiving Day meal at that point, she was kind enough to join us today to talk Gamecock football as they get set for the Clemson Tigers this weekend. Lulu, number 1, thank you. Number 2, if you make an extra maple cream pie, yes, I will take one. Thank you very much.
Of course. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for having me on early. I appreciate it. And you gave my parents who are watching from South Carolina or listening for the first time something to wake up for on a Tuesday. So I appreciate it.
First off, Mr. and Mrs. Lulu Kesin's parents, your daughter's fantastic. Second off, I'm sorry, you can go back to bed now.
Perfect. You nailed that one.
You are the best. Thank you, Lulu. We appreciate it. You're awesome.
Of course. Happy Thanksgiving.
You as well. Lulu Kesin for the Greenville News joins us again on Thursdays at 8, but kind enough to come in a little bit early to talk football with us today. Let's take a break. We come back. We'll react to some of what Lulu had to say. 8:40, Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast going to join us here on the radio broadcast to talk a little Carolina Panther football to end the hour, and then we'll have just 1 hour left to go on Wednesday. Nope, it's Tuesday. Oh, I thought it was Wednesday. I got really excited. I'm like, I'm going home. Nope, not yet. One more hour, one more day. The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
Buckle up and get ready for a wild ride of sports talk. This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. On November.
QL. Never count out Mike Tomlin as an underdog. The Bengals are reeling. They've dropped 2 straight games. Their playoff hopes are hanging by a thread. And meanwhile, the Steelers are clawing their way to the top, fighting to claim the AFC North crown. Now, the
Carolina was rolling with
5-star model likes the Steelers
goaltender because
+2.5.
Peter
5-star model
was in concussion protocol. He got knocked in the noggin and straight up KO'd a couple of nights before, so he is going through the concussion protocol. So they did not have their starting keeper, who was working on like a 94% save percentage coming into that game. Plus, once they got to 4, they pretty much got shut down the rest of the game. Carolina was generating very little offense in the first 3 periods of the game. Once they started getting on the forecheck and started playing more in the attacking zone, the pressure on the net was dropped dramatically. So I'm not super concerned. If this becomes a trend, then it's a problem. But again, with a backup goalkeeper, defense has got to play a little less aggressively. They can't really attack as often as you'd like. They've got to kind of stay back to prevent the counter. And I think that puts more pressure on Natchez and the gang up front.
Way to show our appreciation for Football Nation. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Harbor Freight knows tool people like to keep busy. But with our Black Friday sale coming up Thanksgiving weekend, you'll want to free up some time. We're talking deals like our 5,000-watt generators under $800, 17-foot ladders for $99.99, and 40% off Icon Pro socket sets. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight. Valid until 12/2/24. While supplies last. Limitations apply.
Okay, so that's with bacon, cheese, lettuce, tomato, grilled onions, ketchup, and hold the pickles.
You know what you like. You wouldn't order your burger just any way. Why should your sports talk be any different? With Chapters on the free Odyssey app, you can choose the topics that matter to you most. Whether it's reactions, matchup previews, injury updates, or team news, quickly find what you really care about. Your football talk, your way. Download the free Odyssey app and start listening today.
Today, expect rain showers followed by partly sunny skies with a high of 68.
Weather brought to you by Staples. Your local Staples store has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. Save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
Sponsored by SC Education Lottery. The Mega Millions jackpot for Tuesday is $489 million. Be sure to stop by your local South Carolina Education Lottery retailer and get your ticket today. See sceducationlottery.com for jackpot odds and a store near you.
Sound off on the text line.
At 71307.
Keyword fan.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. Only on
Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show continues. The Fan Upstate coming up in just a few brief moments from now. The great Rashad Beard will join us here on the radio program to talk Carolina Panther football because, y'all, there have been some people saying some very nice things about the Carolina Panthers, saying some very nice things about Bryce Young. Yesterday, we played you clips from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, a couple of dudes that know ball. They know ball. And see, I've been saying these things about Bryce Young for a minute. You give him time, you give him a line, you give him some wide receivers, and the man can cook. And what did I hear back from Lonzo and some of you guys out there in the Armada? What did I hear from some of y'all out there?
Let me tell you, you don't know ball.
What an idiot. Just stupid.
Turns out Robbie B might have been on to a little something when it comes to his thoughts on Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. Robbie B might just know what he's talking about. Because I said, yo, hold up. And that same guy.
Let me tell you, you don't know ball.
Pat McAfee, yesterday on his show, him and the boys had some nice things to say about the Panthers.
Carolina Panthers, hey.
That was a battle.
Wow.
What a show.
Okay. Bryce Young gets pulled from the lineup. Okay. You're going to be benched for a little bit. Then you're going to go back in there, and then you guys are going to look completely differently. I think that was a nice sense of relief for Bryce Young. Getting a chance to watch a little bit, learn a little bit, see what the offense is supposed to be, because this is his first year in Canales' offense as well. So the way they've played, Okay. Okay.
For
Carolina Panthers. And we were obviously one of the main ones to dump on them.
Of course.
Because we like to talk about every team
Rightfully
in the
so.
NFL.
Yeah,
And whenever there's 20 people at the games and everything that's happening is happening, it's hard not to make fun of. But now that the Carolina Panthers don't, hey, a lot of hope going into this offseason.
For sure.
A lot of, and now, granted, we still got 6 weeks left of the season and everything like that, but there is a lot of hope for the future, I think, down there, when in the past there wasn't.
Your boy tried to tell you. The issues in Charlotte were not on Bryce Young. They weren't on Dave Canales. They were on the abysmal decision-making of Scott Fitterer and David Tepper. Well, Fitzy is gone. Tep has stepped back. They got out of the way. They're letting football guys make football decisions, and all of a sudden, the football team is playing better football. They won 2 in a row, and they were one good defensive stand with a banged-up defense away from knocking off the reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champions right there in the ball game. And a part of that is, as aforementioned, because of Bryce Young, who Rich Eisen had very nice things to say about.
Right now, you could make the case. Split moment right now. The quarterback between last year's first and second overall picks and this year's first and second overall picks, playing the best football, the most consistent football right now, is Bryce Young. You could make that case right now.
They almost beat the Chiefs.
I eyeballed him in Germany personally. And then what he did yesterday against the Chiefs, he's playing in rhythm. He's seeing the field better. He's not making silly mistakes. He's accurate, and he's feeling more confident.
All things that your boy's been saying to you. Give him time to develop confidence. I agree. I think the benching was the best thing that's happened to Bryce Young. I think allowing that man to take a back seat, to sit, to watch, to relax, to learn the game. I liked it when it happened. And I'm a big BY guy. Had been from the beginning. I think he's got it in him. And if you didn't watch this Chiefs game, go back, find it, watch it. Watch the all 22 cam. I put up a couple of tweets last night about BY, both from the first drive. I put up a couple. I put up the first completion, the very first play they threw the ball. I put up the first completion. And I put up the first completion because I thought that what you saw out of Bryce Young was composure, was reading a defense. On the very first one, you can see Adam Thielen lined up in the slot on the left. The Chiefs are in a single high with man coverage to the outside. BY sees Thielen in the slot. He's the only wide receiver with the cushion. Everybody else is jammed up at the line. If everybody's jammed at the line, you got 2 options. Number 1, you check out of it. Number 2, you understand you're going to have to sit in the pocket for 3 seconds and allow those wide receivers to get down the field, develop their routes, and create some separation before you can deliver the football. But he looked over, and he saw Thielen had some cushion. And he saw that Thielen had some cushion because the safety that was walked up covering him was showing pressure. Now, either he's coming or he's not. Either he's coming or he's not. And so when you see the snap, BY gets the snap and he turns his head and he looks right out there. I put a little triangle so you can see exactly where BI's looking. BY looks over and he looks at that safety. If that safety is coming, Thielen's your throw. If that safety is not coming, then it's going to depend on, is he staying back, letting Thielen come to him, or is he attacking Adam Thielen on the snap? And you make a decision off of that. If he's coming up out on Thielen, you allow Thielen to hopefully accelerate past them going the other direction. If he is sitting back, letting Thielen have a cushion, then Thielen is your throw, but you got to zip it out there. But what does he see? He sees the safety coming. He sees the safety pushing the line of scrimmage. So what does he do in that spot? He floats it up over the blitzing safety. He drops it to Adam Thielen. Thielen's able to put the head down, and he's able to pick up 7-8 yards. It was wonderful. And then there was a deep crossing route to Leggett, where BY drops back in the pocket, feels the pressure off his left-hand side, recognizes, again, Kansas City throwing a single high safety at him, which means that a crossing pattern that goes across the entire field will be open. But you've got to let that route develop. You've got to give XL time to put the DB in the back pocket to get underneath the safety and get to the sideline. Because either that safety is going to protect the nine route down the seam, or a post route, or he's going to float over with XL. Either way, somebody's open down the field. So he sits back in the pocket. He feels pressure on his backside. He takes 3 steps to the right to avoid that pressure. And by the time he gets there, he notices XL's got the cornerback in the back pocket. The single high is dropped to protect against the post route to the end zone. And he throws a dart over the right-hand shoulder where only receiver can catch it. It's a first down and a whole chunk of yards that sets up Carolina for a field goal on the opening drive. The guy gets it. The guy understands it. The guy's seeing the field, and it shocks me 0% that people are starting to say nice things about him. We got to run to a break. When we come back here in just a minute, Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, is going to join us on the show. We'll talk a little Panther football with him when we come back. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, stay right there. I'm going to get Rashad set up. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. What you taking us on a tour of Charlotte? Your mic is muted, big dog. There he goes. Can you hear me, dog?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. Taking us on a tour of the Casa today. What we got going on, Rashad?
Nah, man. No internet here at the house. So I got to do it from the
phone.
It's all good. Make it work.
It actually sounds pretty good. You an iPhone guy?
Yep, iPhone guy. I got the AirPods in, so we're making it work.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right, we're about a minute out.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Let's see what the deal is.
Do.
20 seconds from a rejoin.
10-4.
All right. We're coming back.
The Rob Brown Show continues, wrapping up hour number 3 here on a Thanksgiving week Tuesday. Ordinarily, our next guest joins us on Thursdays at this time to talk Panther football, but I'll be elbow deep in oyster dressing and stuffing by the time that rolls around on Thursday morning. So Rashad Beard, kind enough to join us here on a Tuesday AM. What's up, big dog?
What's going on, man? The game went about how I wanted it to go, so I feel good, man. As a Panthers fan, we should all feel good. I feel good about it.
Should feel good. Should feel good. And not just should feel good, Rashad Beard, but there's a lot of folks. We were talking about this in the last segment. I don't know how much, if any of you have heard. A lot of people saying some very nice things about the Carolina Panthers. I'll play you a little clip. This is what Pat McAfee and the gang had to say yesterday.
Carolina Panthers, hey.
That was a battle. Wow. What a show.
Okay. Bryce Young gets pulled from the lineup. Okay. You're going to be benched for a little bit. Then you're going to go back in there, and then you guys are going to look completely differently. I think that was a nice sense of relief for Bryce Young. Getting a chance to watch a little bit, learn a little bit, see what the offense is supposed to be, because this is his first year in Canales' offense as well. So the way they've played, okay, Carolina Panthers. And we were obviously one of the main ones to dump on them. Because we like to talk about every team in the NFL. And whenever there's 20 people at the games and everything that's happening is happening, it's hard not to make fun of. But now that the Carolina Panthers don't, a lot of hope going into this offseason.
For sure.
And now, granted, we still got 6 weeks left of the season and everything like that, but there is a lot of hope for the future, I think, down there, when in the past there wasn't.
Rashad Beard, just a bunch of fellas saying a bunch of stuff that you and me been saying for like 8-9 months now, man. I'm glad people are joining the party.
Yeah, we've been saying this, and it's funny, when the national media starts to pick up on it. We're a team that never has been respected by national media, so it's just interesting to now see. I mean, it was a competitive game. We didn't win, but it was good to go toe-to-toe with the Chiefs. But this is about what we expected. This is the kind of performances we expected coming into the season with Bryce Young and his development and things that, it's looking good. It was a rough start, obviously, and this is one of those things where you actually have to trust Dave Canales and his processes. That we all got up here and question, hey, whether he should be benched or not. And obviously things are working out. We question whether he should be named the starter week in and week out, and it's working out. So Dave Canales, he should have earned the trust of many in Panther Nation with the way things are going, and we just got to sit back and trust the process.
Rashad, I think what has driven me crazier than anything else this season is the folks who, and it's not you, it wasn't me, there were some. I'm not saying it was Lonzo. I'm not saying it wasn't Lonzo. What drove me up a wall is the people that thought, with Canales in there, with BY having a new guy, whatever, that it was just going to be like a fire start out of the gate. Like this team was going to come ripping 6-0 right down the chute to start. Like this wasn't going to take some time. You know how big culture is in the NFL. When you look at teams like Detroit, like Kansas City, when you look at teams like New England that had 20 years worth of culture under Hoodie and Brady, and now that culture's gone, they're lost. They're floundering. They don't know what to do. It takes time to establish that culture, and you got to do that before you can really start getting the offense going. This was always going to be something that took some time to build to. And for the folks that are hitting me on the text line going, oh, Rob, way to make stuff. Rashad Beard, I got an over 4.5 wins bet on the Carolina Panthers. And now I know we're still going to be pushing it, and I know it's going to be a fight to get to 5, but I put my money where my damn mouth was. This is exactly what I expected. This team was going to, around midway, was going to click and was going to find that culture. Here we are. Now, back half of the schedule, a little tough, a little rough to get to the end of the season. But you're telling me that team that played on this Sunday, as banged up as they are, went toe-to-toe with the Chiefs for a full 60, can't snag one from Tampa Bay on Sunday? You're damn right they can.
Yeah, I think we can get one from anybody. When you look at the schedule, there is no game that isn't winnable on the remaining schedule. You went toe to toe with the reigning defending Super Bowl champion, two-time Super Bowl champions, and so yeah, I think any game is definitely available for us to win. And as long as we continue to get better, stay healthy, right? That's a big part of it. We did lose JT for a little bit. Hopefully, he's okay. But this team is getting healthy, and things are starting to click. And all that work, all that the culture and all the stuff that Dave Canales has been saying is starting to come to fruition. And we just got to be a little patient. I know it's unfortunate, and it's something we got to deal with as Panther fans, but it just kind of it is what it is, man. We got to hang in there and stick with it.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the X's and O's from this game this past Sunday, Rashad. Then we'll look ahead to the contest with Tampa Bay this Sunday. And I think you have to start with Bryce Young, 260 plus yards in this one, had a touchdown to go, no picks in it. And more than importantly, and I saw this from the first drive, the very first completion. I put up a thing on Twitter about it last night. Completion number one, I thought was indicative of what Bryce Young is. Made the good read, saw the safety coming off the blitz, recognized Thielen was the primary target. And the only question once he read that was, am I slinging it out there because Thielen's got cushion, or am I floating it out there to get it up over the blitzing safety? Read the blitz, dropped it. 2 plays later, hit that long pass on a crossing route against the single high safety because he recognized the safety was staying deep to cover up the seam route and just dropped it in a dart of a throw 40 yards down the field. I just turned around. I was sitting there on Sunday morning watching with the wife, and I looked and I went, that's what I've been telling people he can do. Like, he had every read and was accurate. In fact, the only thing that went wrong was like Leggett and Thielen both had a drop that they make 99% of the time that probably get them closer to 300 yards if we're keeping it a buck.
Yeah. The drops were tough. Well, fortunately, the XL drop didn't prevent us from scoring because that was a huge drop. But you're right, man. Bryce looks absolutely comfortable. What we witnessed Sunday was Bama Bryce. If you looked at Bryce Young play college football at Alabama, that was Bryce Young, Alabama. That was Bryce Young version, Alabama version of Bryce Young, excuse me. But yeah, he's comfortable. He trusts his guys. That's what I took away from this game, is that he trusts his guys. If you look back in games prior to him being benched, he was taking some of those sacks, right? He would hold on to the football a little bit too long because he took some massive hits in that game, but he was able to let the football rip. I know my guy's going to catch the football. I know he's going to be where he needs to be. I'm just going to let it rip. And that's the difference between Bryce Young prior to the benching and Bryce Young after the benching. He trusts his guys out there. He's way more decisive. He looks confident. He looks comfortable. And the benching worked. And everything you said was spot on, man. He looks really good. Not his best game statistically. He had a better game against Green Bay last year. But boy, if you put everything all side by side, this was definitely, he looked like his best game. And I'm excited for it. He's getting better. You look at his PFF scores. Every week he's getting better and better and better. And that's what we want to see, progression.
Talk to me about Dave Canales as a play caller, because down the stretch, this was a game when Carolina was down a couple of scores and starting to claw back into it. This is a spot where a lot of coaches could fold. This is a spot where a lot of coaches could get over aggressive or could maybe shell up a little bit and be less aggressive than you need, trying to protect the football and all that. I thought Canales had a fantastic game strategy for a dude that I am still seeing comments, and you could disagree with said comments, but you go to the message boards and I'm still seeing a lot of people going, oh, I question him as a play caller. I got to tell you, man, I think my dude was cooking on Sunday to get Carolina back in that game and give them a legitimate chance to win. And if it was anybody but Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, you probably do.
Yeah, interesting strategy. I thought that I wish we would have ran the football or attempted to run the football a little bit more. That's my only complaint, especially down in the red zone. We got there 3 times early in the game and could not score. So that's a bit, could not score 7. We walked away with some field goals. That was a little frustrating, but I understand it. The Chiefs' run defense is absolutely great. So it was a game where the the football was put in Bryce Young's hands, and he delivered. And it's going to be very interesting moving forward. Now that you can see Bryce Young can deliver, how he's going to now play that and not be scared to put the football in Bryce Young's hand, and then find some balance with the run game, right? Because again, the Chiefs' run defense was very, very good, top 5 run defense in the league. And so I think we got dictated to a little bit, saying, "Hey, y'all not going to run the football on us," and we just got away from it. And so again, some of those play calls are great. Some of them were execution. You got to catch the football. Some of those things are not on the play caller. And I'd be lying to you if I didn't say, well, I was a little bit nervous when we got to the red zone. But again, these are things that are going to get better. I see the progress, so I'm not gonna dump on Canales. I'm gonna learn to trust Canales, as should everybody else, when it comes to decision making, when it comes to his play calling, his coaching ability. Let's trust him and let's see what he has moving forward.
Talk about the defensive side of the football. You and I have been saying all year long, you talk about the injuries, you talk about the fact that your best player is down for the year, that guys are having to move around, shift around, play different spots, a lot of different looks as Evo's defense has had to adapt to some things. That's Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, they kept you in the game. Yeah, there's a couple of spots. I think Josie Jewell on that on the touchdown pass on the opening drive, I think he got tricked. I think he was supposed to cross with Noah Gray, and he just kind of got lost in the sauce, and Mahomes took advantage. But, outside of a couple of mistakes, you make a mistake against the Chiefs, they're going to stick it in the back of the end zone against you. You can probably get away with that against Bo Nix. You can probably get away with that with a couple other quarterbacks, not Patrick Mahomes. But that's one of those spots, Rashad Beard, where I go, there were 3 or 4 real bad mistakes that if you clean that up, probably win that football game. And if you're fully healthy with Derek Brown out there, you probably win that football game.
Yep, that's the perfect point. We got to remember, we're not healthy, right? Derek Brown is out, Shaq Thompson out. So we got some major leaders out. And you got to kind of take that into context. Evero can't go out there and play, right? If you look at the last run with Mahomes and him running for 30-something yards, to me, I mean, if Dane Jackson goes and doesn't make a business decision there, we might have a whole different conversation. And that's something that Evero can't coach, right? You got to go out there and you got to go win the game. You know what I mean? We had, I think, 5 or 6 sacks. So we were able to get to Mahomes. We were able to, we had a couple of miscommunication issues. We're still not perfect by any means. But, hey, you went toe-to-toe. There was a lot of people out there saying, hey, we're going to get 40 rung up on us. And that didn't happen. We played a respectable game. I think the defense tightened up when they needed to. They bended a little bit. They did not break until the Patrick Mahomes run. But I'm proud of the defense. I'm proud of my team as a whole. Like I said, that's all I wanted to see, man. As a whole, we hung in there with the reigning defending 2-time Super Bowl champs back-to-back, and I'm happy. I'm proud of my guys, and we're going to get better. We can hang in there with anybody, defensively, offensively, and I'm happy for them.
Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast talking a little Carolina football with us here on a Tuesday a.m. You got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming to the house. And listen, Rashad Beard, I think this game got a little extra sauce on it because, Tampa Bay's feeling good right now. They beat up on Tommy DeVito and the Giants, but it's the same team that you guys beat. They're coming to the crib this weekend. That's this feels like a statement game. This feels like hey, we may not win this division this year, but we coming, and you better watch out for us. This game feels important to me, and now that you've got a Bryce Young that seems confident, seems like he's making good reads, seems like an offensive line that's giving him time to stand in the pocket and let those routes develop, I feel like this game kind of is not just a winnable game, Rashad Beard, but it feels like it feels like a game. If you win, the message is sent.
Yeah, it's an interesting game too. You got to take into the context that Dave Canales used to coach over there, so he knows those guys, he knows that personnel. So this is going to be an interesting chess match for Dave Canales. The Bucs are good, right? They're not a bad team. This is a division game, so it's any given Sunday. Any team can win this game. I do feel like, again, the swagger for the Panthers, although we're not dominating teams, again, Saints and Giants got that victory there and lose against a respectable game against the Chiefs. I just think the swagger's there. I heard the post-game conference or post-game speech from Bryce Young, man. I heard his voice change a little. His voice got a little deeper, you know what I mean? So when Bryce Young is out there speaking, you know what I mean, the swagger's there, you know what I mean? And so I'm hearing that, the guys are feeling themselves a little bit. And when you got when you have that type of swagger and you feel that you got that feeling behind you, I think that, we can go out there and win this game. Certainly a winnable game against Tampa Bay Bucs.
Okay, hold up. I'm going to go I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to go a minute or two late, but I got to ask about that because I saw the comments. I saw Xavier Legette talking about it. I saw a bunch of media members. Sheena Quick put up some stuff about it, whatever. And I heard that phrase. Bryce's voice changed. He sounded like a different cat when he was giving this speech. And none of the players are telling us what he actually said, but I think it was Legette that told one of the beat reporters that Bryce Young gave a speech to the boys, and the boys were like, let's suit up and run it back. Like, we need to hear that, and we can go get this thing done. They wanted to go play that game again. What have you heard that he heard and what he said and how he said it? Like, give me the rundown on that real quick before we let you go.
Yeah, I don't know specifics. I kind of heard some of the similar things you heard, but I will say this. I'm happy about it. Like, I'm happy that Bryce Young is taking this bull by the horns. He's a leader, right? And once he steps up and becomes that vocal leader, that's what we need. He's going to have that, you start to see that he's dancing in the locker room. This is good stuff. So I'm happy for Bryce. The swagger's there. We're gonna get there. And this is my guy for now. He's got to play out the rest of the season. He's got to get better. He's got to finish strong. But if things continue, he might be the guy for the future. Might be our franchise guy.
Rashad and I are glad to welcome you members of the national media who finally jumped on board with us. And also Rashad's gone, so that's cool. All right, that's it. We're back after this. The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
Flashback. No flashback. Flashback.
Sports Flash time. The Carolina Hurricanes got themselves another win. Number 15 last night. They trailed the Dallas Stars 3-1 to start the third period, but scored 5 in the final frame to steal the win. Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis, Martin Necas, Andrei Svechnikov, Brent Burns, and Shane Gottesbeer all scored, while the defense allowed just 19 shots to Dallas. The Clemson's men's basketball team knocked off the San Francisco Dons last night, 70-55 in the Sunshine Slam tournament in Florida. The Tigers were led by Ian Shiflin's 18, and as a team shot 48% from the floor and over 41% from three. Clemson also tallied 40 boards, allowed just 23 to San Fran. Lamont Paris Gamecocks fell to number 22 Xavier last night, 75-66. South Carolina had only 3 players in double-digit points and only 15 points off the bench, and were out-rebounded by Xavier 41-31 while shooting 42% from the floor and 4 of 17 behind the arc. Tune into Wire to Wire this afternoon, 3 to 7, right here on the Fan Upstate. Turn the StreamYard mic off, please. And here we go. The final hour of the radio program starts right now. It is the Rob Brown Show. And it's the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have you, Rob Brown. I got Ben filling in for the great one, Lonzo, this week, today and tomorrow, because we are out on Thursday for Thanksgiving. We are out on Friday because we will all be recovering from the absolute gut we're going to grow on Thursday. And then programming note. The first week in December, the 2nd through the 6th, full week. The second week in December, the 9th through the 13th, full week. The third week in December, the 16th through the 20th, full week. But those next 2 weeks, a little funky, little groovy. We are in on Monday, the 23rd. We are out on the 24th and 25th. We are back on the 26th and we are out on the 26th and 27th. So we will work Monday, the 23rd. Then we are off from Christmas Eve through the end of that week. We will return on Monday, December 30th. We will be off New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And then January 2nd, we make our glorious return to the airwaves. And it is college football championship season. We will be at the end of the National Football League regular season schedule, and we'll dive into the NFL playoffs, and it is full steam ahead into the year 2025. So there's your programming schedule for the remainder of this year and into next. Also want to let you know that I am looking for more participation on the Ray Memorial Talk Hotline. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to the Odyssey app, AUDACY. I want you to put it on all of your digital devices right this very second. Then once you do, I want you to go into the Odyssey app. I want you to go find the Fan Upstate. I want you to heart the Fan Upstate page. And once you do, it'll take you to that page. On that page, you're going to find 2 buttons. One of those buttons says listen live. You click that, you are going to listen live to the Fan Upstate 24/7, 365, anywhere you've got a connection and a speaker. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to click the little button to the right of the listen live banner. When you do, it is going to give you the opportunity to submit an up to 60-second voice message. I would like you to do that. I'd like you to do that at some point today. And I'd like you to do that at some point today because on tomorrow's show, it's rivalry day. It's all we're talking about tomorrow. We may take a brief glimpse into the NFL schedule for the weekend. We may take a quick gander over at the National Basketball Association. We may take a look into some other sports. But see, tomorrow's Friday. I mean, it's Wednesday, but tomorrow is Friday. And it is Friday of rivalry week in college football. So do you know what I would like to do tomorrow? What I would like to do tomorrow is have all of you talking rivalry games with us. I would like your thoughts on South Carolina and Clemson. I would like your thoughts on the Iron Bowl. I would like your thoughts on Florida State. I would like your thoughts on every college football rivalry game. But I don't want your X's and your O's. I don't want your Jimmies and your Joes. I don't want you in here going, well, Rob, I really think South Carolina can win the football game if we can find a way to win the battle in the A and B gap. That's all well and good. All right. Those are great takes. And I want those takes 99% of the days out of the year, but not this one, not this one. You want to know what I want tomorrow? I want hate. I want hate. I want absolute, unbridled, top to bottom, start to finish hate. And that's what the Ray Memorial Bleep Talk Hotline is in place for. Okay? So, over the next 24 hours, I would like for all of you to go to the Odyssey app. I would like you to go to the Fan Upstate page. I'd like you to find the little circle button with the microphone in it. And I would like you to take advantage of the 60 seconds of voice message time. I would like you to drop us a line and tell us why those goobers from the other part of the state suck. I want you to tell me why you hate them. Not that you hate them. I know that you hate them. I know that you hate them. I want you to tell me why you hate them. I want you to tell me everything that's wrong with those losers. I want you to tell me about how they mamas smell bad. I want you to tell me about how they dogs don't play fetch. I want you to tell me how their food is bad, how their drinks are weak. I want you to tell me that their stadium is a glorified cow field. I want you to tell me that you believe that their city is the butthole of South Carolina. The Ray Memorial Talk Hotline is open. Go to the Odyssey app, go to the Fan Upstate page, click on the little circular microphone button, and drop us a 60-second voice message letting us know why you hate the rival. Because tomorrow, I'll tell you what I'd like to do. Tomorrow, I would like to come in bright and early. I would like to open the Ray Memorial Bleep Talk Hotline page. I would like to open it and see dozens and dozens of voice notes from Clemson fans telling me why they hate the Gamecocks. From Gamecock fans dropping verbal elbows on the Tigers. I'd like to hear from Alabama fans talking about how Opelika should be wiped off the map. I'd like to hear from Auburn fans telling me how them sister kissers down in Tuscaloosa don't deserve the time of day. I'd like to hear from all of you telling me why rivalry week is because here's the thing. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen tomorrow on radio stations and radio shows around the country. All right? It happens every year. You get two conversations. Conversation number one, what's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish? All right. Like, sure. It's a good conversation. And the other conversation you're going to get is, tell me what you're thankful for in sports. Tell me what you're thankful for. Oh, I'm so thankful because, I got to watch the Braves games with my son. I'm so thankful because I got to take my dad to go see the Eagles play this year. Oh, I'm so thankful that, grandma got to go to another college football game and I was there for it. And that's all feel good stuff. And you know me. I'm here for some feel good. I'm here for some warm fuzzies. I'm here for the positivity. You know that. I like football. I'm here for it. But I think those people are missing something. I think those people are missing the fact that unless they have to work on Thursday, unless they have to work on Friday, tomorrow is the Friday of rivalry day. Tomorrow is the Friday of rivalry week. Tomorrow, especially for those of you in the Armada, for you crossover Tolos of wire to wire. Tomorrow is the last day that you can utilize these here airwaves to send a message to the folks that wear those other colors. Tomorrow's your last chance. Tomorrow's the day. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to open up the Ray Memorial Talk Hotline. It is open on the Odyssey app. AUDACY, download the Odyssey app, go to the Fan Upstate page, click the little circular microphone button, drop that 60-second voice note. Don't tell me what you're thankful for. Tell me how you hate the bad guys, all right? Tell me how you hate the bad guys. Because what I'd like to do is come in here tomorrow, spend a few minutes recording, editing, cleaning up all you heathens and your dirty, nasty language about them bad guys. And I would like to play them tomorrow. I would like to play them over and over and over. I would like to play them to just let y'all hear what passionate college football sounds like. That's what I want. I want an Armada takeover tomorrow, and I just want it 100% on the Ray Memorial Talk Hotline. So go to the Odyssey app, AUDACY, put it on all your digital devices, go to the Fan Upstate page, click that circular button with a microphone in it, and drop me that 60-second voice note about how much and why you hate the Cocks, how much and why you hate the Tigers, or whoever else it is that you hate. And by the way, didn't have to be college football. It's rivalry everything. I am rivalries right now. I am rivals right now with gender reveal parties. They can catch that smoke. They can catch that smoke. We don't care, okay? And I'm tired of having to pretend like we do. I specifically and especially don't care when you put these things during the 10 minutes a week that I'm actually off from my works. Multiple, all of them. I don't care about that. I am rivals with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets right now. I might spend some time dunking on them tomorrow. So when I say bring your rivalry hatred onto the Ray Memorial Talk Hotline, I want it to be about your college football team, but it can be about anything that you consider a rival of yours right now. Use it. It's there for you. I would like an Armada takeover on the show tomorrow. That is just you guys hating on stuff that deserves to be hated on. Let's run to a break. When we come back here in just a minute, we'll do the audio blitz. I got some audio I want to play for you, and we will react to it on the way out the door. Your calls are welcome. 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663, and more. All coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. I'll do holiday lights inside the next thing.
Okay. Got you.
All right, guys, stepping away for 45 seconds. Don't go. players from acting in a way that is detrimental to their selves, to their teams, to their games, to their careers, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the things that I find hilarious is when coaches, game managers, et cetera, just clearly refuse to get it. I'm going to play a little bit of audio here. I got 2 clips from Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is, of course, the former LSU wide receiver turned New York football giant. Now, the New York Giants are, and this is true, I have done the research, bad at football. They're not a very good football team. They got blown out this past weekend by the Buccaneers. They're one of just 3 teams that have lost to the Carolina Panthers so far this year. They did so over in Munich, Germany, a couple of weeks ago. This is a bad football team. It's a poorly coached football team, are the New York Giants. Brian Daboll is the head coach of the New York Giants, at least for the remainder, maybe for the remainder of this year. We'll find out. Anyway, Malik Neighbors plays for that football team, and that team is struggling right now. After they got blown out, Malik Neighbors, who was not targeted until the team was down 30 points this past weekend, Malik Neighbors was in the locker room, and he was struggling. The team is struggling. He was asked why the team is struggling.
It ain't the quarterback. Same outcome when we had DJ at quarterback. I mean, take a look. It ain't the quarterback.
So what do you think?
What is it? I don't know. I don't know what it is. Everybody know better than me. Is it the play call? We'll take 3 more. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I know I'm tired of losing.
I don't know why we're struggling. I don't know why we're struggling. I don't know what it is. It's not the quarterback. He pointed out the fact that the Giants were rolling with Danny Dimes. They couldn't get it done. They benched Danny Dimes. They're willing to release him or trade him if anybody wants him. But he said, it's not Danny Dimes. We switched quarterbacks. They went with Tommy DeVito, this weekend, and it didn't go any better at all. It's not exactly like they upgraded the quarterback, but Malik's like, look, dude, it ain't the quarterback. We're just struggling. We're just not good, but I'm tired of losing. Malik was also asked, hey, what's up with you, not getting to catch the football?
Go out there first, second quarter, don't get the ball, start getting targets at the end. I mean, can't do nothing. Start getting the ball when it's 30-0. What you want me to do?
Why in the first half are they not looking at you?
I don't know. Talk to Dave about that. Talk to Dave.
Did you say something to the coaches at that time?
I mean, they know. They come up to me, ask me what plays I want. That was that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man.
Why aren't they targeting you? I don't know. Talk to Dabes about that. You know you're in trouble. You know you're in trouble when your team is referring to their head coach as Dabes. You know you're in trouble when you got a player like Malik Neighbors calling your head coach not by his last name, but by a shortened version of his last name. I do have a rivalry thing to complain about, though. I do have a rivalry thing. People who smack their chewing gum. I need somebody to drop a note on the Ray Memorial Bleep Talk hotline about people who smack their gum. That little that you heard was Malik Neighbors smacking the bleep out of his gum into the camera like it owed him money. Unbelievable. Malik, stop. Chewing gum, fine. I chew gum all the time. Big gum guy. I'm fine with chewing gum. Chew your gum. But like, for the love of God, close your mouth. Please, I'm begging you. There was one guy I used to work with in radio years ago when I was down in Florida. When I worked for the little mom and pop station, we had a little bitty studio. All right, little bitty studio, little bitty office space, and so everybody had to double up in offices. right? So everybody was doubled up, and I was working with a guy who was he was a full-time producer on the station. And this dude not only was always smacking gum, this dude, when I say smacked gum, I mean smacked gum. And he would do it all day. And if you said, hey, man, could you stop smacking the gum? He'd go, yeah, my bad. And he'd stop for about 9 seconds, and he'd go right back to it. I've never wanted to hit somebody so much in my life. Stop smacking your gum. Anyway, Malik popped off specifically because the team is losing and he's tired of losing, direct quote. And he popped off because the team is losing and he's not getting the ball. He's not getting targets to try to impact the game. Now, it is hilarious that he was asked about being tired of losing, and it's hilarious that he was asked about getting targets, because not terribly long ago, the New York Football Giants put out some film of Malik Neighbors' pre-draft interview with Dabes, Brian Daboll, head coach of the Giants. I would like you, ladies and gentlemen, of the Rob Brown Show, Armada, I would like you to listen very, very closely to the two things that Brian Daboll asked of Malik Neighbors.
How do you handle losing?
Be straight. Not at all. I really hate it. I hate losing more than I love winning.
Okay, and then how do you handle not being involved early in the game?
How do I handle it?
Yeah.
I handle it pretty tough, especially, during the week.
That's what I'm looking for.
Been in the offense, in the week, putting in the work with the one offense, getting a lot of plays, known to be called for me. So if I'm not in those plays and not getting the ball, I'm pretty hard on it.
I don't mind that. I want guys that want to get the ball, and I want guys that hate losing, but you got to learn how to harness that a little bit.
Right.
I don't mind the competitive juice, man. That's what you need, some dogs.
Right.
I want guys that want the ball.
Yes, man.
Sometimes you lose. I mean, I lose it too as a coach, but got to learn how to harness that good.
Gotcha.
There's not much that I love more than the Giants being frustrated with Malik Neighbors, because Malik Neighbors is frustrated that the team is losing and he's, quote, tired of losing. There's not much I love more than the Giants being frustrated that Malik is calling out Dabes and saying, ask Dabes, talk to Dabes about why it is I'm not getting targets until we're down 30 points in the hole to Tampa Bay. Go talk to Dabes. When Dabes specifically asked him in the lead up to the NFL draft, hey man, how do you handle losing? And he went, not great. I hate losing more than I love winning. How do you handle losing? Real bad, boss. Real bad. I'm not great at it. It kind of drives me up a wall. Hey man, how do you handle not getting involved in the offense early? And he said, I'm frustrated by it. I'm out there, I'm working, I'm putting in practice time, I'm learning the offense, I'm working with the quarterback to make sure we're on the same page. So when we get out there on the gridiron between the stripes and it's time to play ball, if I'm not given the opportunity to play ball, I don't handle it very well. And in fairness, Dave said, yeah, you got to learn to keep that in check. You got to learn to channel that. You got to learn to keep that in check. You got to I hate losing too. You got to keep that in check. And I respect that. But why are the Giants shocked that Malik Neighbors is out there saying into a microphone, I'm tired of losing and I'm real mad because I'm not getting the ball until we're down 30? When he literally told you that. He literally said that to you. Literally said that to you. Like those were the two things you asked him specifically about. And now you're upset about, he was honest. He tried to tell you. You asked him. He told you. You went. This is like if you're asking somebody out and they go, just so you know, I'm the kind of person who's late all the time. I'm the kind of person who's late to everything, and then they're late to your first date, and you're like, oh, what a terrible person. They told you. You can't get mad at somebody for being a thing when they tell you that that's the thing they are, right? You want me there at 9:30? Tell me the event's at 9:15. I mean, it's my fault, but I'm putting the responsibility on you. Let's take a break. When we come back, my favorite Angry Sports Talk radio show caller in a very long time. And that's not a short list. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
God almighty. Fucking Christ.
Oh, man. Player hater of the year. I might win it tomorrow. I got some haterade saved up. We'll see if you guys bring the hater tomorrow. I hope you do. Damn.
Cool. 45 seconds.
Thank you very much. I need a nap.
How's this whole day is going to be? All right.
My mouse, Kyle. All right. Final segment of the day. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the Fan Upstate. I am Rob. My guy Ben filling in for the great one, Alonzo, today. Alonzo will return when we return next Monday. We are here tomorrow with you. By the way, what did you say was the schedule for Furman basketball tonight, Ben?
Ooh.
They start when now?
So they will start 11:30 Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
They are in Vegas with Seattle.
Mm-hmm. 11:30 tip?
Oh, yeah.
Furman versus the Seattle Redhawks with an 11:30 p.m. tip, which is only, what? That's 11:30, 10:30. So that's 9:30 Vegas time.
Right.
Which is pretty standard for these holiday tournaments. There's a lot of these holiday tournaments taking place. I was up till bleep you o'clock last night watching the Maui Invitational. a lot of these tournaments have games all day long for the opening rounds, for the round robin rounds. When we get to the knockout, they'll be a little bit more reasonable. Furman versus Seattle, 11:30 p.m. tip, which is not fun for the man who's got to be back here tomorrow at 5:30 to do this show again. So that's fantastic.
Who's that?
Yeah. Me. Love you, Dan Scott. Have a wonderful call tonight. I will not be listening to an 11:30 tip. Ben will be. He'll be sitting in that chair right there. You don't even have to get up. Just like lean back in the chair, take a nap. I'll be in it 4 the next morning, and we'll just roll into it. By the time that game's over, you're going to have enough time to like walk down to the bathroom, pee, and then just start the show tomorrow morning. Have a ball, bud. Have a ball. Texter said, Rob, I want to take some brass knucks to the mouth of people smacking gum and physically remove the gum. I genuinely understand. All right. Now, I will acknowledge that it's one of those things that most people don't recognize that they're doing it while they're doing it, right? It's not a conscientious decision to smack your gum. You don't know that you're doing it. But man, when somebody points it out to you, please make it conscientious. Like if somebody says, stop smacking your gum, and you go, oh yeah, my bad. Don't go back to doing it 30 seconds later. For the love of the sanity of humanity, knock it off. Texter said, Rob, my wife is a terrible smacker. When we first got married, she threw a Pop-Tart at me after I commented on the horrendous, awful sound coming from her mouth. Chew with your mouth closed. Yeah, that is my wife is infuriated by the sound of chewing, right? And I'm talking the worst part of it is even if I'm eating something crispy, right? Like I'm eating a potato chip or whatever, something that's crunchy, eating some peanuts or whatever. If I'm crunching a potato chip, even if I'm chewing with my mouth closed, she will say things to me that make me question whether I deserve being alive or not, right? Just she gets after it. She can't stand it. So what she doesn't know, well, she does now. One of the big fights we've had, she is a gum smacker. She loves chewing gum. And she's a gum smacker. And you better believe the first time I hear, I'm like, hey, babe, you're smacking your gum. Stop. You're driving me crazy. Stop. You're smacking your gum. Stop. And she goes, yeah, I know. That's why I'm doing this. Turnabout's fair play. Turnabout is fair play. Texture said, sadly, I lost my job yesterday, but the bright side is that I won't have to be around 2 obvious gum smackers anymore. Well, Texture, I am very sorry to hear that you're going through it. I know the struggle. Please know the Armada's got your back, all right? Nose to the grindstone. Get out there and get better off. We believe in you. And congratulations on ditching a pair of gum smackers from your life. Well done. Well done. All right, let's get to this. C.J. Stroud plays quarterback for the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans, they lost a game this weekend. Another game this weekend. The Texans went from a team that a lot of people were trying to convince you was not just a playoff team, but an AFC contender this year, to a 7-5 football team that has lost 3 out of the last 4, including to a bad Jets team and to a bad Titans team. In this game, C.J. Stroud had himself an okay day, 20 of 33, 247, 2 touchdowns, also had 2 picks in this game. On top of that, the Houston Texans had a chance on a field goal kick from Kymie Fairbairn early in the game to knock through and tie this thing up. But Fairbairn sent it wide left. It didn't go great. Well, it led to what might be my favorite sports talk phone call in the past few months. And I'm going to keep it a buck with you. That list ain't short. That list ain't short. There's a lot of them. There's not much I love more than finding somebody who is losing their ever-loving mind on the radio and making a bit out of it. Like this one. We're going to play a little game we like to call, Hold Up. I'm going to play this clip. Anytime that we want to respond to anything in the clip, you just say, hold up, and I'll pause the clip, and we'll respond. Ladies and gentlemen, let's dive right in.
Nicole, appreciate your patience. Welcome in.
Hi, gentlemen. Thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to air a couple of grievances, several grievances that I have, and I'm going to establish that the NFL, the refs in Vegas are a cartel that manipulate all the games.
Hold up! A cartel? Nicole? A cartel. Like a Pablo Escobar cartel is what you're telling me. Like a Sicario cartel. A cartel. Okay, Nicole, I am here to hear you out. She says she is going to establish that the NFL, the referees, and Las Vegas are a cartel impacting games. All right, Nicole, let's hear it.
As they wish. And I feel like some players, such as Kaimi, are subject to being paid off at will because they're so good. He's so good. I don't believe he intentionally loses his kicks.
Nicole, hold up. Kemi Fairbairn, who is a good kicker, who is kicking at a 90+% clip for the Texans this year. Real good kicker. He's getting paid off because he missed the field goal? Nicole, I don't know if you've ever tried to kick a field goal. It's already a challenging thing to do. And then you add on to kicking a field goal the fact that your long snapper has to get it just right, that your kicker has to get it just right. Laces out, Marino! And that your offensive line has to successfully block, and that there are anywhere from 7 to 11 dudes on the other side of that line of scrimmage that are trying to whoop your candy ass in that spot. It's not easy. So your belief here is that Kyrie Fairbairn must be getting paid off, and that's why he missed the kick. Nicole, sometimes people just miss.
I think he's paid to do so. And potentially, to my next grievance, is that the play calling can also be subject to being subject to the cartel. And
hold up, the cartel! That's all I had to say.
I forgot his name, but he sucks. I don't know why he always calls that play where you throw to your left or your right and you have to catch up to the line of scrimmage. I don't know why he does that. It never works.
Okay, hold up. In fairness, I despise the bubble screen. Okay. And in fairness, I despise the bubbles. I hate the bubble screen. The bubble screen works like 11% of the time. I hate the bubble screen so much, especially a poorly run bubble screen. And so many teams can run the bubble screen successfully. In fairness, I'm good with it. I'm not on board with the take that Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator, is getting a cash money payment from the NFL cartel. You know, Roger Pablo Escobar Goodell, that guy is organizing a series of, what do we have, like a drop point in Houston outside of the facility where Roger leaves a big paper bag full of money, unmarked bills, directed to the offensive coordinator and the kicker. That's what we're talking about here, Nicole. In fairness, you do have a good point about the bubble screen, though.
Never freaking works, and he does it all the time. I feel like he's sabotaging us. He always has Mixon come to drive right into a pile of guys that, I mean, why is it?
Okay, hold up, Nicole. I love Nicole, for the record, because Nicole, let me tell you why I love Nicole. Here's why I love Nicole. Nicole's clearly upset because this Texan team was expected to be an AFC contender, and right now they're not. All right, I don't know what they're going to morph into, if anything. Just right now at 7-5, they're just not. Okay, not a bad team. They're just not. They're not a front runner. And Nicole is so badly wounded by that she is diving down deep into the psyche and coming up with anything she can to accept what's happening here. Could it just be that maybe the team's not as good as she thought it was? No, it must be the cartel. It must be a vast criminal enterprise that is out here paying off my kicker. There's no other reason my kicker would miss a field goal. Field goals are easy. Anybody can do it. But it must be some sort of organized pay structure from the top to the bottom, from the dawn down to the soldier, Kyrie Fairbairn, to miss these kicks. From the dawn, Roger Goodell, huh? Hey, Roger, how you doing? From Roger Goodell, that goes all the way down to Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator. There's no other way that these guys would. Nicole, let me tell you something about football. I learned this a long time ago. She said, "Why do they keep running it into the spot where all the guys are?" Nicole, all the guys are there because that's the spot. If you didn't run it there and you ran it somewhere else, all the guys would go over there. That's how defense works. If you run it here, all the guys come here because their job is to get the guy with the ball. If you look and you go, well, all those guys are there, let's run it over there. And then your guy runs it over there. All those guys that were there, they're not going to be over there where the guy with the ball is. Nicole, I do appreciate your passion.
So unorthodox to run out left or right. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a play caller. I'm just a girl. But
I'm just a girl in the world. I love you, Nicole.
Why doesn't he ever have a play go out to the left or the right?
Because if you did that, that's where they would go, Nicole.
I don't get it. He also could be subject to the cartel.
The cartel! Damn you, Roger Goodell and your cartel!
Third grievance, poor CJ, he may be smart enough to know that these things are happening.
But he's in their cartel, Nicole. Is CJ Stroud a capo?
Or he may be shot down because I believe he's just as good as the old golden boy, Patrick.
What? Okay, so let me get this right. Your kicker is in the cartel. Your offensive coordinator is in the cartel. Your offensive coordinator being in the cartel means that he is out there calling really bad plays, but not your quarterback. There's no chance your quarterback's in the cartel. Your quarterback who ran out of the back of the end zone and gave away a safety? The man who Orlovski'd this weekend? He's not in the cartel. He's too good to be in the cartel. You see how this starts to fall apart, Nicole?
And right now he's the golden boy. So, and he's what we need to strive towards. So I'm not making excuses for the bad things we did today.
Man, Nicole, it sounds like you're making an excuse there. They're in a cartel.
Okay. But CJ is right up there with him. And you can tell that his confidence is being shot. And why is that?
Because your team's bad, Nicole.
Cartel doing that to him?
The cartel is doing it to CJ. They have taken a confidence hit out on CJ Stroud. We are going full mental Sopranos now. They have taken a hit out on the confidence of CJ Stroud. Damn the cartel!
I believe so, because I don't believe his own God-given talent is making him lose his confidence. You can see it in his face.
So Nicole, hang on, Nicole. Nicole, not to interrupt you. Let me just jump in. So if I'm understanding you correctly, all the things that were going wrong in the football game today really weren't going wrong. This is really just all part of a conspiracy for the cartel because there's gambling on this game?
This is cumulative. I'm actually thinking about 2 weeks back and further back. 2 weeks ago, I believe Kaimi threw the game on Thursday night football.
Oh, through the game. The cartel, ladies and gentlemen.
Ball. And this is not just about today. This is about what I've been witnessing weeks on end. And the quote unquote, my statement of the cartel, they've been at it for many, many years. They know just when a call is needed to throw a game, to push the momentum in one way or the other. So you're the professional. So I know, you can see when that is happening. And I can see when it's happening.
The cartel.
And in my heart, the reason I'm so upset is because let me not get emotional. My heart was in the Shab days. Those were the best years that I witnessed. You know, I'm not old enough to go back to the Love You Blue Shab era, you know.
But Nicole, let me jump in because you are.
Okay, that's enough of Nicole. Nicole, I love you. Heart, hands emoji, Taylor Swift style. I'm a gigantic fan of yours, Nicole. Please call every week forever and explain your most recent NFL conspiracy theory. I need all of them injected directly into my veins. My woman said here, there is an underground cartel making the call to take out CJ Stroud. It's confidence. Terrifying. Hey, that's it for us. Thanks for being here, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again, hopefully better. We'll see how it goes. Y'all have a rest of your day. Do not drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face, and we will see you back here tomorrow to do it all over but better on The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later!
Personal file. He was giving them the business.
Oh, Nicole. Oh, Nicole.
Oh, good stuff.
All right, dudes and dudettes. I got to go be an adult and do adult stuff now. Not fun adult stuff. Boring adult stuff. The bad kind of adult stuff. I was not mansplaining football. I was reacting, Keegan, to the lovely Nicole, who I 100% want to have on this show now. Because she seems phenomenal. Just as a person and a football fan. Oh, I'm just a girl. I've had No Doubt stuck in my head since she said that, though. Nice. That's our breaking news sounder. All right, I got a jet. Y'all, thanks for being here. Sorry, I'm wrapped up because I'm getting told to do things. Responsibility sucks. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Tell your friends about us. We want to get rich and famous. Goodbye.
575-69.